cut in to being live. I'm always talking about the no countdown. Hey, what's up, y'all? Happy Saturday. I am Michael, Destro Designs. We are live from Viper Den Studios. Joining me tonight is one of the most ridiculously awesome toy photographers in the land, as far as I'm concerned, and that is my dude, Yojo Collectibles. Thank you so much for joining me, my friend.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. My new thing that I've been telling guests is that it's always nice to say, "Oh, dude, thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it," but it doesn't quite represent how I feel in those moments, because the way I see it is time is our most valuable commodity. Period. End of story. Like there's nothing that is as valuable. Maybe your health, right? Time doesn't matter if you're dead. But so time is very valuable. And nonetheless, so when somebody takes the time to come in, sit down, and talk toys with me on this show, I just thank it on the deepest of possible levels. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Yep,
Totally.
No doubt. Real quick, I'm just going to run through and see who we got in the house. First in line, my brother Alice. What's up, my dude? He says, Hail Cobra. Here we have we're still trying to come up with a nickname for Paul, because Paul is always so nice to say hello to everybody in the chat. And I keep wanting to call him the concierge, right? That's like the first person you see when you walk in and they kind of show you around. I don't know. I don't know if that works. Working title, concierge. My brother Paul Morales at the Toy Chamber. Welcome in. My homeboy Riptide O'Leary. He says, boom, let's go. Damn straight. We are going, my brother, for sure. Oh, and real quick, just want to say shout out to Riptide. Riptide commissioned a wonderful beachhead drawing. I'm going to digitally get that printed out and hang that next to my mate Mylar stuff, which I'm very, very proud of that as well. At the Tex Thompson is here. What is up, my brother? I'm glad you can make it in. Tex here, producer, TV Cobra, uber talented human being, great guy. Thank you for coming in, my dude. I appreciate you. We are going to talk TV Cobra in a bit, so stay tuned for that. G.I. Dave, my dude in the house. Yojo Collectibles. We'll get into what scales you collect, but I just wanted to show you this. So I have one 12-inch figure.
Oh, yeah.
And this is courtesy of my brother G.I. Dave. He came into Viper Den a couple weeks ago. We had an absolutely killer Joe conversation, also a little bit about life, but he also got himself one. We opened it up at the same time live on the stream. And brother, I'm not going to lie, when I look at this, I have a hard time saying that it's not my favorite version of Snake Eyes, right? It's ultra commando. I mean, I love the blue sweater. The soft goods look really good. I mean, the red goggles, all right, so we'll get into it. This is a good question to talk about real quick with Snake Eyes. How do you like your Snake Eyes? Me personally, I like a good 65% commando, 35% ninja, right? I want him to be a commando that has ninja skills and not the other way around, right? What do you think?
I tend to agree with that. It's kind of how I wake up. It's how I like my Snake Eyes. You're gonna learn this about me, but I tend to love everything at a different time. So I actually just threw something up on Facebook today on the V2 Snake Eyes. Saying like the Snake Eyes is just like the 3.75-inch, original Air
Yep. The GOAT.
Snake Eyes,
the GOAT.
one of the best figures like ever. But the funny thing
It's
is,
the GOAT.
I didn't have one growing up that I bought like an open carded. It showed up probably from one of my brother's friends or something in my collection. It wasn't actually until the V4 that I saw Snake Eyes that I coveted. Because
Yes.
I had the third version, so I love them all, but I do love the commando feel, more than the ninja feel, most of the time.
Right.
Which is why I think that V2 kind of like does, he's got the grenade strapped. He's but he's got like the ninja visor. It's what's so alluring about it. It's pretty amazing that they made a 3.75-inch scale figure with like that dedication and that much detail. And I think that's one of the things that really defined those original figures that I think they're getting back, that Classified kind of like pushed other lines to now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think Marvel, we not to get too, not to blow it up right in the first like 30 seconds, but I don't think I collect Marvel Legends too, and I don't think Marvel Legends would be around today without G.I. Joe Classified coming in and kind of showing Hasbro, because there's a split between kind of the, the exact kind of business side of the thing, the house and the teams that create that like grew up with it and love it and create it and stuff like that. And so, I think GI Joe Classified push that to the next level, just in terms of like just delving right into the pegless kind of arms and legs and creating versions of these characters that we loved growing up. That figure, though, that V4 was the first one that I saw when I was younger. I mean, you're talking, remember like back in the day, you're 9, you can't just like drive around. Like today I can drive with like 20 targets, if I really want to.
Right.
If I want to, I can do it. Back then it was like what was there when you happened to be there. And that figure looked so cool. The card art for that was so awesome. And I could like
awesome.
I remember the day. I actually remember the day I found it. And it was like it was like in phase or something, like phase drugs. And I just remember being like, you can remember when you're young and the anxiety, like I have to have this.
Yes.
Like, will my parents say yes today in buying me this figure versus like now where like I'm like, well, I'll skip a meal and buy a snake, guys. No
right. That's what's up. I love it. Let me just blow through the rest of the chat here.
Yeah, that's cool. I haven't seen. I mean, that 12. I don't have. Yeah.
Sorry. I think we got a tiny lag, so I'm a second behind. My fault. We have Mo's Mind Custom Design is here. Last night we launched a new line coming out from him. He's diversifying his bonds. That is the Mags line. That is Mo's Armament and Gear Systems. Amazing stuff. He's got slings and then a whole bunch of stuff coming. So we're gonna get into that a little bit later. But Matt is here. Thank you for coming in, my brother. My dude Big Red is in the house. I'm glad you can make it, my dude. Appreciate it. I think I said Orskizio. I think I said hi, but if I did, I'd rather be safe and say it again. My dude Stu for lunch. What is up, my dude? Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. I saw you around last night too, as most of the people here. So I appreciate you jumping in again, my brother. Absolutely. And I think that's going to catch us up on people in the house. Tex Thompson says, I like my snake eyes like I like my women. Commando Ninja? I mean, I don't blame you there either. That sounds intriguing as hell.
Grenades?
Hey, listen, that sounds a lot like, who I dated in my 20s, razor blades and hand grenades. Crazy people. Let's see. Oh, Anchor Viper is in the house, the key member of TV Cobra, along with Tex Thompson. They are shipping out the amazing bounty for if you back that Kickstarter to help them launch season 2 out into the ether for our enjoyment. Then your stuff is starting to come in. I know stuff is being shipped out right now. Very ecstatic about that. The stuff that they have, I'm sorry, what should I call you? Zach. Okay, Zach. Thank you. So, Zach, I don't know. Their online presence stems mostly right around Twitter and YouTube, but the TV Cobra people have a very interesting thing that they're doing. If next time you get a chance, you go over, check TV Cobra out on YouTube. It's fantastic. It's cool. Words won't do it justice. I'll just tell you this: it's worth your time to go check out, and it's going to be so crazy creative that you're going to be like, "Oh, this is awesome! What is this?" And then you'll just follow down the rabbit hole. It's creative stuff, great people too. So,
love it.
So thank you for joining us, Anchor Viper and Tex TV Cobra in the house. Let's see here. So yeah, that is the chat. I want to thank everybody again for coming in. We were live last night. I had Laser Pants from the 3POA podcast was here. I talked his ears off like I do most guests, and it was a good time. We had fun. My brother CG Horror was here. CG has been a great part of the show, I would say, for like the last month or so. I had him join me. I don't remember what the first guest was, but he has the ability, because right now, as we talked about Zach backstage, I'm on my phone also. So my ability to like put up pictures and stuff like that is limited until I get the laptop situation squared away. And so my brother CG has been coming on and helping out, put stuff up and get it in there. Plus also that's speak of the devil. There he is. He's in the chat here. What's up, my dude? Yeah. Also, it's one of the people I'm closest with meeting in the community. Because just to give you a little background, I know you and I have just started interacting because I just started putting stuff on Instagram just a couple months ago, and so my toy journey basically was stunted. I was obsessed as a kid to the point it was my whole family knew. I never got anything else for Christmas or my birthdays. I called everyone all the time and was like, "Do not buy me anything but GI Joe, please." And so I literally, I think I had He-Man, maybe some Star Wars, but as soon as I saw that Destro and the version 1.5 Snake Eyes, that was it. It was over. Like literally, right from that minute. Like I think I got like a Captain Power doll. We were talking about this Laser Force car last night. There was random stuff peripherally that would bleed in, but it was not the goal was Joe's and Joe's only, all the way up until I was about 11, 12, which would have put us in the beginning of the 90s, right? Right. See, I feel like 1991 still had a handful of really awesome figures, but most of them that year were just not my style. The Dion 90s and stuff. It was kind of like I got away from it as much as I was obsessed because everything got these bright colors. I started kissing girls, smoking weed, and it just I was playing a bunch of sports and I just gravitated away from it for whatever reason. And it wasn't until the December of 2024, which is 16 months ago, I saw an Alley Viper, the classified Alley Viper, and I was like, does that say 6 inch? And I was like, now Alley Viper is like one of my favorites, like top three.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and so I bought that. I bought a Destro, and it just happened all over again. As soon as I opened the Alley Viper, I was like, oh fuck, what other? Immediately went back and was like, what other ones did I have? And for whatever reason, I still don't understand. I still at this point had not seen any kind of online GI Joe activity. I was going on Twitter solely for the purpose of looking at fantasy football stuff, right? Beat reporters so I could get information, all that crap. And then I must have said something around my phone, or how your phone is spying on you. Well, guess what it was? Because it just started showing me pictures of dudes doing toy photography. And I was like, wait a minute, they're building these little sets and taking these pictures? I was like, look at how fucking awesome that is. And so immediately I was like, all right, I have Alley Viper. I'm going to get me the Shockwave and I'm going to do a alley fight, right? They're the Suburban Commandos. They're going to go for it. And that's what I was going to do. And before I even got a chance to do that one shot, my mind exploded. I thought of 50 other shots I wanted to do. I just started plucking figures off of Amazon. Like because at first I was like, well, I just want to get some of the less expensive ones so I can build up, and get something going here. And now here we are 16 months later. I did a count the other day. I've got like 450 figures and vehicles. So I have gone off the deep end, to say the least, with it. But it's all been surrounded by the love for the photography. Like again, before I saw it online, it was just in my head that I was like, I want to take pictures of this shit. Like that's just something that came naturally from out of me. I don't know, man. I thought it was totally crazy. So yes. And so when you were a child, when you were young, you definitely were a collector.
Oh yeah, man, if you just like went off the deep end, I'm like I'm probably the thing that science hasn't discovered yet, like down in the deep depths of dark. So I was born like early 80s kid. Okay, so I had like my earliest figure memories are probably He-Man, but a lot of the Tonka stuff actually, like Supernaturals, Rock Lords. I was huge into Rock Lords.
Okay. Yep.
Transformers, Rocks, Bugs, and Things, all the 80s stuff before things were licensed into show, even like, because like it's like they'd be like, oh, we have a toy line, we got to make a show for it, like that kind of thing. Like, but 80s had a lot of crazy stuff that just was just like totally out there. What's some of the Visionaries was another one. I had a ton of Visionary stuff,
Absolutely.
back in the day. and stuff like that. But Joe's, yeah, same experience with Joe's. I mean, I grew up in Buffalo, New
Okay.
York,
Oh, nice.
and
I'm in Albany.
I remember, yeah, so close, close. I remember Pizza Plant. We ate at Pizza Plant. We went to Kmart before. I got like a Shockwave, I think, and a vehicle, and like fell asleep underneath the table. Didn't even eat dinner. Woke up in the car on the way home, and all I cared about was the GI Joe. Right.
Right. Right.
Where is that GI Joe? Mostly because it just blew my mind. I mean, they're so playable when you're little. Those ARH figs. The articulation was like just totally beyond anything
Totally.
else, and the way you could move the figures and stuff like that. And I was totally enamored. Although, to be honest, I never stopped being interested in other figures either. But I was also like you. Like everyone knew, like Zach wants figures for Christmas. Zach wants figures for his birthday. So that's what I got. And everything, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles too. Huge fan. Like behind me on the shelf, like all the
Oh, nice. Okay.
TMNT stuff is here. I, though, similar to you, I graduated high school in the early 2000s, and went right into college, and was kind of, I'm also big into music. I can't play. Zach, I cannot play music at all.
Okay. Me neither. I can
music,
sing, but that's it.
but I love music. I have a huge appreciation for music, and always have. And was big into that. So I worked in a record store. Was big into. I bought a ton of music, but there was a huge 4-year hiatus in figures. It was actually the Toy Biz Marvel Legends that got me back into figures, and mostly because when we were playing with Kenner figs back in the day, like Alien, Predator, all the X-Men, Playmate stuff, the anything other than GI Joe, essentially, even Spawn. I was a huge Spawn fan.
Yeah,
and
that's getting dope.
Huge monster, right? Like giant monsters, and you could play you could fit a 3.75-inch fig into a monster battle, like with any scale, like a bigger scale, stuff like that. But all my friends and I would talk about was what if the articulation, like we were talking about it back then at sleepovers, what if we could just bend the freaking knees, why can't he bend his elbow? Could you imagine what that would be like if you could get a figure that was like that? And when I can still remember the day I walked into a Walmart after graduating college, and should have been probably looking for a better job, but I stumbled across a War Machine. It was the Galactus wave of the Toy Biz Marvel Legends, and I was like, what is this? I bought it, and that was it. I was like, holy shit, this is everything we ever wanted in figures. I bought every single Marvel Legends I could get my hands on. You're talking, pre-kids days, it's all disposable income. You just and I hadn't, even thought about toy photography or anything like that. I was just I just loved having figures that you could pose in ways that told the stories that you're reading about in the comics and things like that, or seeing in the movies or things, so that was what really got me. But I've always kind of been just whatever interests me, I try and keep it to a single line, and I fail miserably. So behind me, I'm looking at I have a there's an 80s Scorponok, but there's also Mythic Legions, Marvel Legends. Oh, Battle Beasts. I forgot Battle Beasts.
Nice.
All the things. I think anything that I see that really grabs my attention, that makes me really fascinated or interested or sparks my imagination.
For sure.
I would like to get. I leave a lot behind. I have no regrets. I got there's a lot I can't get, but there's plenty that I can. And so I tend to pick up a lot of stuff. NECA was another thing on that ride, that got me. I started picking up NECA stuff. You'll see that in my toy photography. People are always asking me, where'd you get the props, essentially, and a lot of the stuff, not the big stuff, not the couches or the big props and stuff, but a lot of the stuffs are all NECA accessories, because NECA just packs their stuff in with everything.
Dude, you set up an incredible shot, right? At this point, I think, because I think See, Instagram is mostly all just like pictures and stuff. So over on Twitter, it's like all mostly words, and people do pictures too. But we talk a lot over there, like just the way that the format is set up. So oftentimes I'm waxing poetic about things that maybe are happening on different social medias because a lot of the people over on Twitter, that little community we have, is most people are mostly just there, right? And so I've been talking about you for a while. It's like, yo, there's this dude that drops like 3 or 4 amazing photos a day, it feels like, and it just doesn't stop. Like the barrel is so deep for like these amazing shots. Now I think a lot of it, so I've been regarding you as like one of my favorites for a while. And one it's the there's those turning perspective shots. There's somebody in the foreground, person in the background, and they're lined up just right. When you do that, like that thing, man, like that is just, I'm sure there's an actual name for that, right? Whatever kind of photo that is, but it's absolutely fantastic, and I enjoy your stuff to the highest order. So that's a good call when asking about what you where you get a lot of that stuff, like the props and everything like that. And a lot of times, I mean, you do an amazing outside shot too. I think people maybe don't, I mean, to me at least, it's difficult because you don't control that lighting, right? It's great lighting, but you don't control it at all. Maybe you can use a diffuser in certain areas or something like that. But which do you prefer? Do you prefer shooting outside or inside?
Yeah, I gotta say, honestly, I prefer shooting outside. It's so funny because a friend of mine today texted me and was like, "You control the sun." That's what he was like. It's like I don't. We were just messing around, but he was sending me shots that he was doing, and he was like, how do you control the light like that? But I live in a spot that like a lot of these shots. Well, okay, so first of all, like I have a supportive family. Like my wife, like we have 5 kids. We go out to like, mostly like manicure trails and stuff, but we have family
Hmm,
and they had our backs.
okay, nice.
And so
That's
we'll often, but that's kind of like here at home. Like we live, we're pretty rural. We've got kind of a mini woods in the front yard. We're up high. We're like up really, really high.
mm.
In terms like literally up high, like we're the highest house on the road. It's just
Oh,
the
nice.
way
Okay.
the front is like split up. We just ended up with this like house on a hill kind of deal.
Nice.
And yeah, I learned pretty early on in the toy photography journey. Like early on, I exclusively pretty much did 3.75 inch, and that's because classified didn't exist. And there was a
Right,
huge
right.
gap actually. There was one of the things like while I collected all toys, Star Wars toy left that out. Like I have tons of thousands of Star Wars stuff. Um,
Crazy.
I there was a crazy period of time where it seemed like GI Joe might fizzle out. If you
Right.
remember, I mean, past the second movie,
Yeah.
there was some 50th anniversary stuff, and then the Toy Club stuff was around, but there were people kind of the interest going, and I quietly just kind of always bought everything GI Joe that I could, all the way, throughout that era. But there was a pretty dark era there where it was like, I don't know if GI Joe's ever coming back, and then all of a sudden,
Right.
Classified burst on the scene, and the interesting thing is I was taking mostly horror pics.
Mm.
Um, back then, back with NECA stuff, like I
Right.
was just
Okay.
fiddling around. ACBA got me into like, everybody knows Artemis Prime, I'm pretty sure, like toy reviews just in general. Like I was like,
I
okay,
I
here's some
just
guys that
I
like
just
toys.
told my wife and kids that there's a because they love the word shark. And I literally, probably an hour before we just went on, I was like, girls, Transformers, right? I said it to my wife too. And I was like, you're not going to believe this. There is a guy that calls himself Shartimus Prime, and it is the funniest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. I love
Oh
it.
yeah, and show them the intro. They'll get the song in their head and they'll never forget it. Same thing.
Oh, right,
I mean,
right.
my oldest actually, my oldest son, but when he was younger, we'd watch those videos together.
Oh,
The
that's
reviews
awesome.
by Artemis and stuff like that. And Moog Nice ACBA kind of like got me like thinking about like serious toy photography. But to back up, the outside stuff started because like I don't know anything. I don't know a ton about photography. So,
Mm.
and I still don't really. I mean, I've learned everything I've learned kind of as I've gone along. And it was pandemic era. It was like 2019, 2020. I started the Instagram thing, and I picked up the first classified snake eyes figured, and we went on like a mini vacation at some small camp out by my mother-in-law's,
Mm.
and I was outside with him. And the first few, Joe, if you want to spend anyone on the you want to spend 2 hours scrolling down through the thousands and thousands of photos, the first photo I took was this like crappy like image of my ARH Cobra Commander. And that's because I
Okay.
started with GI Joe. Like I was like, oh, I'm gonna be serious about taking these like horror figures because I'm an Alien Predator fan too. Like again, kid of the
Okay.
80s, 90s, you know. And uh I got it in my head. I'm like, I'm gonna start Yojo Collectibles just to catalog my
Mm.
3.5-inch collection because
Okay.
I
I
have
like it.
so much. You know, I have so many of them. I have them. I mean, I don't have them all, but I've got a lot of them. And so that's how it kind of started. And that weekend we go up north, and I took a picture of Snake Eyes, like that classified Snake Eyes, sitting on a rock over this lake, and it's Chateaugay. It's in Chateaugay, New York,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it just like exploded. Like, I mean, the interest in it was crazy. You know, was crazy. It's just I do everything I do on an iPhone.
Nice.
You know, no camera tricks or anything. Just iPhone kind of stuff. You know, turn your phone upside down. You know, take a picture if you want a crazy shot like that. And it got me like I took the picture again, not to be like Instagram famous, you know. It was like I had an idea in my head, like I think most of us do, like when we were playing with toys, you know, just how can I create, like, what does this make me think of, you know, when I'm holding it, moving around, and how can I do it? And I took that picture, and kind of everything else just kind of followed from there. But the indoor shots are more complicated, I think. You know, I think, you know, you gotta, you know, mess around with the lighting a little bit more. Obviously I have my
Yes.
own, you know, I lean towards I'm still a big horror guy. I lean towards I like thinking about the GI Joe moments that are in the in between, you know.
Right.
So
Right.
I do a lot of the brutal fighting stuff too. I like to think about, you know, I mean, these guys, like how crazy it is that these guys are, you know, in the stories, you know, even in the comics, like Larry Hama stuff, like yeah, they're fighting, but like at some point you take the helmet off, right? Like you sit down,
Right.
like your Alley Viper goes home, right? Like what
Yep.
does he do when he goes home? He's a guy who goes home and like takes off his orange and blue camo.
Yeah.
And
Right. Right.
that's the stuff I really love, because I think that's the stuff that gets your like imagination going, and it's such a ridiculous kind of world that they live in,
Agreed.
where they're like fighting this battle kind of unencumbered by any
Right.
it's
Right.
seemingly any
For sure.
rule or law. You know, they have these huge battles. I always loved when I was little too. There's not a lot of weight to it. You know, there wasn't a lot of like, well, outside of the comics. Like I definitely watched the cartoons, and you know, in the cartoons, right, you can get out of the way of any missile. You know, how great is that? You know,
Right.
you just see a missile coming, you're like, I just jump out of the car like at the
I
last second.
just got to jump out. That's it. I know
You just
this
got to
his
jump
tank.
out. That's it. None
This
of the
his
guys
tank is
like,
moving like 80 miles an hour, but I'm just gonna I'm just gonna leap myself off the side, and that's it. It'll blow up right next to me too. But
no
that's it.
worries
No,
too.
no,
No drones. No one's worrying
no,
about you after that either, right? You just get to
no.
go home. You go home,
You go
and you're
home.
like, craziest thing happened today. I was in a his tank, right? And this missile. Next thing I know, you know, John and I
and
jumped right out, you know, and we
and
got out of the way.
and
So
as I got up and ran away, 40 different guys were shooting at me with lasers, and not one hit me. You wouldn't believe it. Not a single
not
one.
one of these, not one of these guys hit me. And then that's when your wife is like, "Well, who did you get anybody?" And you're like, no, I didn't either.
No,
You know,
no, I don't think so.
we
Not
don't
today.
ever hit each other. No, no,
Maybe
try. We try
tomorrow.
our
We'll try
best.
again tomorrow. Real
Yeah.
quick, I'm just gonna hit the chat. Anchor Viper says she just discovered the alien figures. Listen, those xenomorphs are amazing. My dude Troy Blyford in the house. He says, it said it's been a while. Widowmaker heart attack at 44 is no joke. Well, brother, you know, no more drinking and smoking for me. Yeah, brother, you got to take care of yourself for sure. You know, that's young. That's young as hell. Only one way to hang around. That's love yourself, my dude. I'm glad you're all right for sure. GI Dave says in the early Homiverse, all the Joes pulled double duty. That was sweet. They were they were self-sufficient as could be, right? 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 Ortizio says, weird how a lot of G.I. Joe fans are also horror fans. Must be an 80s kid thing. Well, I'd have to say that that's likely, right? Because horror was, we had I don't know if I would say the birth of horror movies, but like, the Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, the Halloween movies, like to me, they were the more popular ones. My parents were very young when I was born. So I kind of wound up seeing a lot of shit that a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 year old probably shouldn't be watching. And a lot of it was the horror stuff, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
Like,
dude, my parents wouldn't let me watch Simpsons or MTV. That was like a thing. But they also like left me alone, like in the like summers were alone with Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Aliens. I mean,
right.
that was the paradox of kind of like the way you live. I just pulled this like the lanyard. People ask about these all the time, but that's one of those lanyard like Walmart aliens
Nice. Okay. Yep. Yep.
that are
Very
in
cool.
those. That's in that shot that you put. But like I had the Kenner stuff. That's part of why the NECA stuff was so appealing. Because they pulled out mostly the Predator stuff, and what was that like? Probably 2008. 8-ish was the really good NECA Predator stuff, and then they fixed a lot of their quality control issues, and like that also blew it out of the water again. Like I had several moments where like I hit the Marvel Legends and sparked it, and then I found the NECA Predator stuff, and that lit it on fire. Like this has just been a fire that's been going on and on.
That's what's up. That's what's up. CG Horror says NECA is nice for Aliens and Predator, but I need a Predator with more articulation for that sweet crouching pose. That sounds about right. Oh, 610 Yojo Daddy in the house. What's up, my dude? He says the community, or he says, "What's up, fellas? The community animated episode about the Joe made the same point." Yeah, dude, that was pretty hilarious. I think somebody, Conrad Hauser, just shared the Family Guy clip of GI Joe 2 about brand recognition. Oh, both absolutely fantastic. I love it. I thought I saw somebody else new. Oh, Eric Wharton in the house. What's up, my dude? Thank you for joining us. So yeah, when you were young, so you definitely were collecting the figures. You sounds like you were obsessed in the same way that I was, which is awesome. And so now, did you do cartoon comics as well?
Everything. I
Oh,
did
okay,
everything.
okay,
Yeah,
nice.
cartoons, comics. I mean, back in the day too, it was harder. Like, cartoons, you had to. First of all, I came home from school, and where I was in Lockport, like GI Joe was on at like 3:30 or 4 or something. So, I'd always catch a GI Joe episode, and it was on the morning too. Like they had reruns in the morning. So in the morning and after school. But I was a huge comics kid. Everything comics.
Nice.
Marvel and DC. I wasn't in one camp or the other, although I loved I'm more Superman comics than anything.
Oh, okay.
Image, Spawn. I think like a lot of kids, blew my mind. Like, I was, into action figures and comics at the same time. Spawn started producing stuff. The great thing about action figures was you could, take the things you're reading, right, and like reenact them. You could,
Yes.
have an idea or kind of it was kind of this really cool and unique combination both of like kind of creative mimicry and an individual like outlet just for being creative yourself, and so
Right.
of course I didn't think about that when I was little, I was just like,
No, sure, sure, sure.
a violator figure, like you just wanted a figure of the things you were reading. But to
Right,
your point
right.
too about the someone who in the chat who said about the 80s like horror stuff, like yeah, like I laugh all the time still. Like my 5th grade birthday present, my big present was an alien queen.
Right, right.
Like we were
That's
marketed
awesome.
to. I mean, and I'm glad we were. Like but Aliens was not a kid movie. Yet Kenner had those alien figures, and they happen to work really well with Joe's. Like I looked for that gorilla alien Kenner figure, to put his hands around a GI Joe face and spray that acid,
Right.
out of the head. Could squeeze his head and spray the acid and stuff. And so that's another reason why Joe's were the best, because they just kind of that scale just kind of fit. Like because
Right,
they were
right.
just always they were the humans. So you had big alien or big monster creatures, and then you have the Joes as the humans, and I had more Joe vehicles, Joe play sets.
Yes.
We don't get a ton of play sets anymore. Like
Nah,
Even
it's a bummer.
I say we, I mean, like, I have, again, 5 kids. My kids never grew up in a world where, like, you just had a massive play set, you know, that was so cool. Except for my daughters have some, like, they make some cool, you know, some of the cooler, bigger play sets, but they're not as intricate. You know, they don't have a lot of the same detail, you
Right.
know, that
Yes.
the Joe base like had in the 90s and
For
stuff like
sure.
that.
For sure. Playsets were huge for me. I had this combination. Like I know the Terrordrome, the Terrordrome didn't get brought outside. It stayed in my room when I did get it. A lot of the bigger stuff I didn't get till I got it from a garage sale and I was a little bit older after it had come out. But I had the surveillance port and that blue bunker. And what I would do outside is there was a pathway that went from my back porch to the garage. And in that there was the walkway was set below grade, so I could like put like a towel on the ground, get it wet, and then run the hose from up top like this because it ran down, and the hose would it would serve, and it would back up a little bit from the towel, just enough to look like it was water, and I would set the surveillance port, the side that had the two supports. Boom, it looked like it was like in like a running river. And then I would have that, and then off to the side a little bit I would have the bunker scrap iron usually in between, with his rocket setup. And that was like, again, it wasn't this huge thing, but for whatever reason I fucking loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I did until I lost it. I One of my favorites too was an asp, and I mentioned that also. I don't know if anybody saw it last night. My brother CG Horror showed a picture of the amazing asp that he's printing, and just today he told me that is coming to Castle Destro. And thank you again, my brother, for everything you do for me, my dude. I really appreciate you. And proud to say that you're my brother for sure. So yeah, that was like a mainstay of like that was always there. And then what finally is what really set that off too was I would use the bridge layer, right? The Joes would have to cross that river to get to the other side to kind of fight everybody. And you could send Firefly in the night landing down if you wanted to try to blow up the bridge layer thing. Like, dude, I wrote an article recently about this, and because I have these memories, like I don't have an eidetic memory or whatever it's called, but there's shit that I remember very vividly, and a lot of it was because just I was so obsessed with these things that it was like literally I've always said it's like in my DNA. Like in the summer of like when I started getting the toys from '85 going into '86, I started to realize that my mind was working differently when I thought about GI Joes. Right, like it was how I felt. It was what I was thinking. Like I truly believe, like, they always say, oh, take some acid when you're in your 20s. It'll open up the doors of perception in your mind and shit like that. And there's probably some truth to that. But I think when I was a kid, whatever GI Joe did and just like unlocked all these doors into my imagination, it was that. Like I remember that. I remember thinking and I think I even said something to my mom one time about it where I was like, I was like, I want to bring a couple of GI Joes with me, everywhere we went. And she was like, why do you take these things with, why are these so. And I was like, listen, I don't know how to explain it to you. I just know that when I'm looking at this shit and card art, like for whatever reason, card art, because the figures weren't detailed exact, like they looked like the card art, but the card art was like the picture. So like even today, to this day, when I look at the Shockwave card art, that original Shockwave card art, that's like the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's all wild. I used to I spent so many hours just looking at the backs of, the card backs of GI Joe. I mean, ridiculous, right? Like 50 pictures, like total
Right.
pictures. Just so many hours studying those to be like, who am I gonna get next? I remember
Yes.
it is true too that it sparked, my friends and I spent hours and hours setting up. You'd set up battles, like you just set them up hours and hours and hours, and then it'd be like 10 minutes, and then it was like, okay,
Yeah. Well,
all out war, like
the joy is in the
just
journey on that, right?
totally, and it's the same thing you're saying, which is just got your mind going. I was actually like my parents are split, and so I was with my mom on the weekends, and she's a big movie buff. So
Okay. Nice.
without exaggeration, from like 19 probably 89 till 2000, I saw a movie in the theater every weekend, and every night that we weren't like in the movie theater was Blockbuster. So movies were huge for me. In all genres, like, um, everything. I saw everything. You name a movie in the 90s, in that decade, I probably saw it in the movie
Right.
theater.
Right.
And
That's awesome.
that was also a thing. Like my friends, we'd get together and be like, "Oh, I just saw, whatever movie it was," and you'd get ideas, for like whatever mission it was going to be, or like, I remember getting home, you see Mimic, and you're like, "Okay,
Right.
I've got Spawn monsters, I've got GI Joes, I'm gonna make it happen." I remember getting home after seeing The Matrix, even. And even then, I was in high school, and like it's that weird thing that happens, weird thing. Like you start to grow up, and you're like, there's this pull away from kind of childhood things and stuff like that, and like you said, girls and other things, and parties and stuff like, and you're like, oh, you lose the time, kind of, you don't get home anymore, and I'm gonna play with action figures, but the pull was always there. It was this really strong magnet because it was this really really cool, really positive, really healthy outlet to, like, in the context of creativity, which is one of the things that's cool today. Like, I mean, for all the things that we go through with social media and stuff like that, I mean, the ability to create this kind of stuff and put it out there in this way was totally unexpected, and that was like such a cool solution to, like, I would collect them still, but I was like, I want to play action figures,
Yes.
I have kids and
Yes.
we would play. I mean, my Joes have been through, multiple generations of battles. I mean, they're hardened,
Nice. That's what's up.
The classified stuff's happening, in the same way too. But I mean, it wasn't until action figure photography that I was like, okay, like this is a cool way to get out the ideas, which is part of the reason why there are so many. There's so many that you don't see. I take so many pictures.
Yes. But they're all so good.
In one shot. I mean, I'll set up something and I'll leave it for a couple days, and
Right.
I got the other day I heard an Elliott Smith song, and I had done a while ago, I had done a Ripper shot for Son of Sam where he's following Duke, and he's following like Duke and Scarlet.
Okay.
And that just happened because I heard the song. Like, I heard that song.
Hey,
and I had those figures, and we were up north. That's actually at my mother-in-law's house, and we were up north, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna take this Son of Sam shot. So I heard that song again the other day, and I had the the wooden floor set up, and I was like, I did that Ripper shot, and then I leave them, and now I've got Chuckles. Spoiler alert, but there's a Chuckles,
right. Okay.
shot, like just kind of like looking over the classified documents,
nice
kind of deal. So I don't spend a ton of time, believe it or not, like doing it. I tend to set them up and leave them, and then between all the craziness of like home life, I snap a few shots. I definitely this is a big like ACBA Boog Nice thing, but like it's a good advice. Take variants.
Right. Sure.
Set something up, and I'll snap the primary shot that was in my head, and then I might remove a figure, and take a few more. I'm never thinking about Instagram. I'm mostly just thinking about, like, how the figures move. I'm playing with the figures. I'm just having fun playing with figures and talking to you. Like, I met you. I meet people every day in this community, and like just surrounded by positivity.
Yes.
Just people that are doing the same thing, kind of like on the journey, either collecting or posing.
I
and
love that. I love that, brother. That's fantastic. And the positivity part is really important. So like, if you ever consider, I mean, I know you're already on two platforms, but brother, we do have a very cool community on Twitter that really, I know all social media is mostly cesspools of not great shit, right? But this community that we got over there, I think I think you would really blow up super quick. Cause I think your stuff is prolific and a lot of the people that we have. So if you're enjoying that kind of community on these other ones, I would consider getting an account over there. At that community would welcome you with open arms. I want to say what's up to my brother Abby from Figure Fight Club in the house. Thank you for coming through, my dude. Speaking of positivity, they have a great thing going on. They have different kinds of podcasts throughout the week under the Figure Fight Club umbrella. They have a Facebook community, which is excellent as well. And Abby is just a stand-up dude. The rest of the guys over there, Tala Blue, and now they have Initial Goose on there doing some stuff. So great guys. So let's say what's up to them real quick. Anchor Viper says that we're objectively so lucky for basically well, let me read the whole thing. She says alien movies are so good. I'm so jealous that I didn't get to see these figures when they were new, but you guys objectively are so lucky. I feel that we are for a lot of reasons because I couldn't imagine growing up today with cell phones and like all this shit. Like my kids have none of that. My kids have like zero tech, absolutely zero tech. They were using a Chromebook for school, but we've given that back because it's just they're addicted to it. Like it's just the
yeah,
bottom line, and it's terrible for kids. I couldn't imagine. Like we were playing with actual toys like we are now. And I don't know. I think that's truly a gift, right?
yeah. Here, hold on. I gotta do this. I gotta
Okay.
grab like just like a couple things, just because someone mentioned aliens, right? So like this is what we grew up with, like Kenner, just making like the
Yes.
crab alien,
Yes.
right? Like, and they made these aren't in the movies or anything. They just made the mantis alien,
Right.
and then this is how they get us. They have the mantis, but then you have NECA that comes in with like the realistic mantis alien, and so you haven't missed it. Like you haven't like I saw this for the first time when I was a kid. The mantis alien. I was like, oh my god, like that's just
That's
amazing.
awesome.
And it's like again, you're playing with Joe's like for scale. This is like 5-inch, so like you can just crush Joe's in his claws and stuff. But NECA brought us the 1/12 scale kind of mantis looking thing, and that's what keeps me like it just again, I've always said I'm the like target demographic. I never stopped being the target demographic for this kind of stuff. Like they were just like, oh, Zach's out there buying like Scream and like Michael Myers and stuff like that, but then boom, all of a sudden they were like, we're gonna do the Kenner aliens. And I was like, I'll risk it all. I'll sell my house. Like I'll I'll refinance my house to buy these figures if I need to. It's like the stuff that you have to have. One of my favorite picks I've ever taken actually is that I have a Spirit pick. It's in my Instagram. Like your stories, the stories line.
Oh,
you can go back and find a pick I took with the mantis alien in the background with Spirit, in the foreground.
I think I remember that. I feel like I remember that.
Yeah, that was one of
fantastic.
That was one of the ones that I took that even I was like, I take a lot of picks. I don't think too hard on it. I think it's I work on that myself. It's a trap to kind of get stuck on a pick until it's perfect or something.
Right.
It also again helps with 5 kids not to have any time to like it's either gonna happen or it's not. And but for my own health too, I've learned just to kind of like walk away if it's
right.
Sometimes I take a pick and I look at the shot and I'm like, oh, there's a great example is last week I did one with Budo's just taking out slice.
Oh yes,
just coldly pop and slice, and that got me that pick. That influence for that pick came from Better Call Saul. That show.
Huh.
there's a scene where Lalo, who's a villain, takes out an innocent guy, just doesn't look at him, just pops him with a silencer.
Right. Right.
And I don't know why. Probably because it's disturbing. It disturbed me so bad when I saw it. It's like I'm probably just working through some trauma here, even with media. But I just like saw
Sure.
that and it popped into my head, and I was like, that's what got me thinking about Budo doing that. Well, Budo's like he's doing that with his left hand. His right hand is kind of loosely holding his sword. And if I wanted to make that shot perfect, I'd have had to go back and push his long sword all the way back into his hand.
Right.
And
Right. Right.
I would just challenge you, if you know my picks and you look at my picks, go back and look at it, and you'll notice that the handle of the sword is like just barely hanging on. But that's not like no one's gonna notice that. No one's gonna notice that. But I did.
There's for sure. There's so much stuff going on in your amazing photos that stuff like that just flies under the radar. My brother Pop Cold Frenzy in the house. Thank you for coming, my dude. Another reason to get on Twitter is my dude Pop Cold Frenzy basically keeps my feed full of all the best deals on where to get everything. Right, Marvel Legends, GI Joe Classified, all of the stuff that basically surrounds. It basically you are his target demographic as well, my brother. Like because it's like all the different kinds of he even does just about anything that has to do with the latest toys, toy photography, diorama making, like all that kind of stuff for sure. So I think that's fantastic. My brother Matt from Mo's Mind, he says, I think when he was talking, when we were talking about the earlier GI Joe, he says Bazooka will die again in the first 5 minutes, which was crazy, right? When that happened in Resolute, like I still can't believe they killed Major Blood and Bazooka in like the first 180 seconds of the movie. Wild. So did you have favorites?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's so hard because my favorites were like whatever new figure I had was,
Fair.
at the time.
Fair.
That tended to be kind of the figure that was like, my favorite. Although Shockwave growing up was like a huge favorite of mine. I'm also I'm allured by design, so
Sure.
in G.I. Joe, the bad guys looked the coolest, I think. I think I got like big into the Vipers, Heat Viper, Frag Viper,
Yes.
Hydro
Yes.
Viper.
Yes.
But I was born again in the early 80s. So just to pace like my collecting in the 90s, I'm 10, I'm wearing the neon, I'm wearing gotcha
True.
hats. I had the extreme
No fear stuff.
No fear. No fear. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. And the no fear
body glove
stuff like
pullover.
that. So Cesspool. Yep. Cesspool was like my guy. I mean, I loved and similar to what you're saying about the card art, the file card stuff, like the snippets, the file card stuff was nuts, man. I mean,
so
anyone that doesn't any G.I. Joe fan should go back and like reread some of that stuff.
No, for sure,
it's crazy.
I wrote an article, and basically it was called the Holy Trinity, right? And it was a figure, file card art. All three are what make up the experience, right? It's they all play. Now, of course, obviously the Sumbo cartoon, but when you got that figure, it was all right there for you. You had the figure, so it was like, to me, when I looked at a figure, what I saw was the card art, right? And what I thought about was the I think G.I. Joe's is unique in that way, where I feel like headcanon is so freely used that you can just take this amalgam of the cartoon, the file card, and then what you have going on in your whole head, and pack it into one nice snowball that can get jumped. I feel like I felt like I've never heard, and maybe it's just because I just haven't talked to enough people or something, but I feel like I never hear people talk about other things, because like you figure like Marvel Legends, well, that's a dead set character. There's a whole comic book that was written about who this person is, right? And it feels like it's a little less headcanony, and that's always been one of my favorite things, and I think that's what lends itself to, you know, toy photography being good, you know, and how like how you incorporate like the one that I used the shot for the promotion for the show is Sergeant Slaughter with the xenomorphs. Like brother, that is amazing shit right there. And you know, it's you make a crossover of two things look natural, right? So it's not just about it being a crisp, good looking photo, it's the context, it's how you're setting something up that it's like, it's because when I, at least for me, right? I don't want to speak for what your motives were, but for me, when I look at that Sergeant Slaughter xenomorph, is I see very reminiscent of the original scene for when Sergeant Slaughter was introduced, and he's being trying to be overrun by bats, and he is just like, you know, he's like, oh yeah, all of you want some, let's get it now. And so I think that's what, when I look at that, that's what takes, that's like some kind of like a capsule that takes my like for the photo and shoots it into a different atmosphere of awesomeness, is that I see something that has pulled me in, that it's like tied into what the actual Sergeant Slaughter lore is, and I see that in a lot of pictures of your Firefly photos. You know, I feel like a lot of times, like there's whenever you do something with him, it always, like in my mind, would be like, if you were to ask me ahead of time what I think Firefly is going to do in this photo, you know, I'd probably have some ideas. But like when I see your Firefly photos, you could definitely, it always looks like something Firefly would be doing. You know what I mean? Like it's never out of the
Yeah.
realm of what I
Well,
saw the characters as.
into your Trinity point, that's because they built a character. You know, they give you enough of the character, right? Like Buzzer is a Ivy League professor, right?
Crazy.
From the
One of the best
Dreadnoughts.
Fireflies.
But he's also clearly like, he clearly has some Texas Chainsaw Massacre influence. You know, he's got the sheriff, like the
Oh,
sheriff uniform with the
yeah.
cutoffs, and he's got a
Yep.
chainsaw, right? So it's not just the chainsaw, but it's the sheriff's uniform, it's his glasses, it's kind of his like Austin look, you know, that he's got going on. And they give you just enough, but not enough to definitively say like this can't happen. You know, they
Right.
give you just enough
Right.
to let it happen. And the great thing about a photo is, like with me with Slaughter, it's like you can't beat Sergeant Slaughter, you know. And you know, plenty of people be like, oh, you know, he's gonna, you know, those xenomorphs are overrunning, but it's like that's what, if that's what you want, fine. But in your imagination, he can, right, he's got an arm around one, he's gonna throw it into the rest, pop the one
Right.
he's got in front of him, right, and get out of there. And like, one again, there's a guy on there, it's like the boot stomp or something, or like the, you know, he's got one under his boot, and it's like, that's because, you know, he's not going to lose, lose that battle.
Right. Right. I love it. I love it.
So when I get
Um,
people who are, I every once in a while get, I have to say most people are positive, you know, but every once in a while somebody like that would never happen. I'm like, well, it doesn't have to,
oh,
you know, like you can, you know, Snake Eyes, like in my world, Snake Eyes always wins. My son, my 10-year-old is always like, who wins? I'm like, the good guy. Always.
right.
Like, you
Right.
know,
Right.
he's like, well, how is Snake Eyes going to get out of that with Crocmaster? You know, I'm like, he will. He just will. The other Joes will show up. You know,
Right.
that's
Right.
just how it
That's
happens.
right. It's like you've never seen the cartoon before, because that's what happens every time they are in the cartoon. You know, it can look dire for
They're
for
going
the
to make it up.
for the Joes, and yeah, and in the end they always wind up winning. That's fantastic. Well, that's interesting. You know, so I see what you're saying about there. That's how much of a big deal just 2 years or 3 years difference in that frame there, where you know, whereas I was kind of stepping my way out per the age, you know, you were kind of stepping in and influenced by, like you said, you were wearing the neon, you know, and shit like that. So I think that's very interesting to look at it that way and say, hey, Cesspool's a great figure, and I think they're going to crush it in classified for sure. I
Yeah.
can't wait to they come out with something like that. I think it's going to be
Toxo Zombie is who I'm really like. The Toxo Zombie was the
okay.
guy they made in figure form back in the day. Again, you like didn't get a figure with a cracked mask, you know.
Mm,
Toxo Zombie's got a heart shot in his armor, you
that's
know.
great.
He's got an actually like open like wound
Okay.
like where he took one to the chest.
That's
And I
awesome.
remember when I was younger being like, "What? That's unheard of!" Like that was a controversial figure. You know, it was like to me. You know, I saw it and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like how you know, that's a I need multiple of that one to have
Nice.
dead guys on the battlefield.
Yeah, no, that I hope you get that, and I wouldn't be able to wait to see what you do with it for sure. Yeah, I definitely had kind of a sort of definitive ideas. Like I guess when I was a kid, when I look back, I remember like my hierarchy. So I always looked at like Destro and Snake Eyes being above all lists, right? They're just forget about it. Like when I saw the Destro and I got that Snake Eyes, like they'll just always be my ultimate favorite because it's not just the figures, it's the characters as well. So when I go, there's like everybody else, and when I try to rank everybody else, I put Beachhead at the top, right? Because between the combination of figure and character, I just absolutely loved it. The card art is great. The figure I'm a sucker for a balaclava, no question there. So yeah, like there's three of my top five are balaclava, people. I have tied for second place. I have Alley Viper and Shockwave because I just absolutely love those figures. Coming in like at a tied for third, I think I think it's like Low Light and Firefly. And then it gets a little crazy with God, I'd have to really look at like dudes like Blizzard, Salvo, Lightfoot. Um, Blizzard, Salvo, Lightfoot, Ambush. Like those dudes, I don't know what it was about them. They always stayed sort of towards the top of the list. If I had all of them in front of me, like of course, there's always iconic things like the Trooper to me, or like just the way that figure looked, because it looked like because all it was the cloth thing on the face with a helmet and a regular uniform. To me, those could be real people. There's nothing there's nothing like science fiction about that. There's no unrealistic thing happening there. And that's why as a kid it was things like that. Now Sergeant Slaughter came a little later, but to me that added some kind of legitimacy to the line, right? Meaning like, well, Sergeant Slaughter's a real guy and he's in the cartoon. Like what else is real? And it just opened the door enough for as a kid to be like, yeah, no, for sure. This is awesome, and it's more and in my mind, it has potential to be real. So also I think we talked about it briefly backstage. So you didn't really have like a disconnect with the collecting. You kind of were all through the years collecting, or did you take a break?
Well, like 4 years. I mean, I think the college years. You know,
Right. Oh, right.
I'm gonna be completely honest. In late like '90s and stuff, you know, when you were in high school, like was not cool. Like it
Right.
wasn't okay. You know, like I
Right.
mean, I don't know where I mean, people might have grown up in other places and stuff, but like where I was, you know, from fifth grade on, even it was a little shaky. You know, my friends bought figures and I in secret. You know, like we weren't
Yes.
bringing them to
Yes.
school and stuff like that. It wasn't like
No. No.
widely accepted, to be doing that kind of, thing. And it's funny to look back on because like now I really like, thankfully I didn't have any kind of hiatus then, but college I was like fully immersed in other, just again going out and meeting girls and just kind of doing the whole thing. And
Right.
and that was probably the longest hiatus. So I told you backstage, like my wife now is girlfriend back then, one of the first years we were together for my birthday, bought me a trap jaw, from the MO2
Awesome.
Masters Universe line, like reboot that was going on then. So, but I was mostly dabbling until I hit that kind of Marvel Legends point, and then from there on, it was pretty solid collecting, but always GI Joe. It was always like every single GI Joe except for the collectors club stuff, just because I couldn't afford, I just didn't have the cash, to do like nonstop, kind of
Right.
special order collectors club. But anything I found in a store, all the movie stuff, I stuck with it. And, I
Right.
wasn't planning. I was mostly then there was um a dark era, if you will, of just kind of buying it and putting it away. I just
Yeah.
buy it
Sure. Sure. Yep.
and just put it in bins and it'd go in storage or something. And I couldn't, there were other things, just other limitations like space mostly,
Yeah. For sure.
Most of it had to do with space. I had a huge Transformers Generation 1 collection. And we were up north, and we lived up north for a while, and it's like -10, sometimes up there. And the first time I found a cracked battery case, like I really freaked out. Like I was like, I don't have the room to keep this collection alive.
Right. No, for sure.
And got
I had
purged a lot of stuff like that. Yeah. So I didn't really.
well, that's good. I would say when I was so like 11, 12, I think is when, everything went in a box and I put it aside, and unfortunately I had most of my stuff I was somewhere in my 20s and I moved and left the box somewhere, and it was the Terradrome was in there, which I think was mostly complete. I had a bunch of figures that were complete. I had the APC. I think I had 2 his tanks, a ton of those small sets like the surveillance port, the bunker, the recon sled. It was a good amount. I can't remember how many figures were in there. I feel like I had somehow lost a few figures before this, but yeah, I moved from one place to the other. I left a box and then a bunch of stuff on a hanger, like I had a baseball jersey from high school, stuff like that. I never got it back, which was terrible. I
started same. I started recollecting with nothing.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
To be clear, while I did buy stuff that whole time, like my parents moved, kind of same shit. I got out of school, it went to storage, and then weirdly it just disappears. Like it just goes away. And eBay was kind of the time where I got out of college, got a real job, and
Yeah.
Right, discovered like, oh, I can reclaim some of this stuff. Like, Firefly was probably one of the first ones I rebought. You asked me favorite figure, Storm Shadow version 2, that version 2 Storm Shadow. I was enamored with that when I was younger. Like he was the undefeatable character to me. I remember being in kindergarten actually, and a kid next to me had the file, like the full card art.
Yep.
Not the figure. He just brought in the full card art, kind of thing. And I remember looking at it and being like, I have to have this.
Well, dude, the 80s was the decade of ninjas, right? It was in movies, they were everywhere. I always said so. I'm pretty sure I was a ninja something like 7 of 9 years in a row, right? Because it was just all black. You could, it was cheap. You could just have, all you needed was a sword and something over your face, and that was basically it, right? It was just, and so I definitely upgraded it. And I remember I would save stuff for the next year. I had found this one sword that I kept. Actually, it was like a real sword, but it had a blunt edge, right? It was metal and you could hold it, but it wasn't sharp by any means. So I had that one that I used all the time. And then I remember I had like some of these fake throwing stars, here. So I'm on the east side in Albany, New York, and we have a place up north, Lake George, like 45 minutes away. Every Memorial Day as a kid, we would vacation up there for the weekend, and they would have all these stores with all this little bullshit, right? And it was always ninja this, ninja that. By the end, I had like the hand thing with the spikes on it. I had like, a full actual like gi with a full balaclava. Like I was for real. And then one year I did make.
I had it all. Same.
Yes. Yep. I had ski goggles to be the Snake Eyes Commando and shit. I fucking loved it.
I'd go to any county fair looking like any other 10-year-old kid, and I'd leave in full ninja garb, Like, I mean, you just get the plastic ninja swords, the stars, everything. Ninjas were huge.
For sure. G.I. Dave makes a good point. He says there were ninjas, but when Storm Shadow hit the scene, 80s ninja fandom said, "Hold my beer," and hit the ham and jumped the cliff. I mean, so that the first Storm Shadow I think is epic, and it's like because then it was all about like black ninjas, or dark characters, it wasn't that he was just stuck out like crazy. Like that was the thing about Joe's. They just do a total opposite direction with somebody like Storm Shadow. But when that second one came out, man, that freaking card art was as much as, so to me, the white one always reminds me more of Storm Shadow, but that one right there, as a matter of fact, coincidentally, I just finally got This
There he is.
the classified. This just came in
Yep.
the mail the other day, and I haven't opened it yet. But like so many classifieds, I'll see pictures of it and look at it and go, And as much as I thought this was epic, I really didn't like it in pictures, dude. I haven't even taken it out of the box yet, and it looks awesome. So
I just broke mine. Not
uh,
like I posed him so much you'll notice in the pics that the scabbards are off. And that's not on purpose. I didn't mod him or anything. It just fell off. But I was like, well, all right, that's fine. It
okay,
still works.
okay,
It still works. I get a lot of them. I get a lot of them in twos, just in case now. Something like
right.
that.
I
I do think though. You remind me that first one. Actually, the first Storm Shadow, I never got like originally off a card either because he was too early for me. But my brother's friend gave me 2 of them. And so I always had 2 in all the battles of that version 1 Storm Shadow, who
right.
was, and that was like Ninja Gaiden days too for Nintendo.
Oh, brother, that's an all timer for me, dude. I fucking
Yeah.
love that game, 100%.
But the
Hardest
beginning
fucking
of
game.
that, the beginning where his dad dies fighting, the and
It's
then
epic, bro.
yeah.
It's
So
yo
that's
that
Storm Shadow though, right? Like
right,
if you're gonna redo that with figures. That Storm
bro.
Shadow figure was the one.
I'm so glad you said that because that shit, I played that incessantly. Like it just never ended, dude. I absolutely love that game. Yeah, Ryu Hayabusa was my dog. I was his ride or die. I was ready to fight for the honor of his father. Fuck that. Screw these guys. We're taking them down. Let's go. I'm balaclavaing up, and I'm riding with Ryu Hayabusa. That was it was an dude. That's the first game that where I could, maybe I didn't look at it like this as a kid, but looking back, that's when music like changed something. Dude, the music in that game is creepy and it's awesome and it really makes the feel of how you're playing. And dude, how hard was that game? Like
Yeah,
this is
but
this is how
my
awesome the game is because it's so infuriating because it's so hard to beat, but it's so awesome that you just keep coming back for more, right?
dude, so you're talking like about like where my shots come from too, and you're like reminding me of like, it's not the only like example of this, obviously, but there's a great transition scene in that game where he's standing on a mountain, right? His
Right,
back's
right.
to you, and the camera pans, right, and you see the castle,
Yep,
the end
yep.
castle where he's going
Yes.
in the
Yes.
distance. Of that stuff coming
Yes.
back to that where you're so. We have a Nintendo, like Super Nintendo, set up in our room, and it's still like, we'll be watching like football, and I'll be like, yeah, they can do that, but watch this,
Yeah.
watch me beat the first half of Ninja Gaiden in like
Yeah.
10 minutes.
Yes. Yes. I love it. I love it. Did you have other favorite games? Anything else stick out to you? I mean, nothing as epic as what I mean to me, at least anyway, for NES, like what you're talking about, those scenes. I don't know if there's anything else that's as unbelievably awesome as that. But there was some other stuff. There was just I ask people this all the time. There was just one random game called Rescue the Embassy Mission. And it was like there was a guy, if the name doesn't ring a bell, you probably but like you can go and Google it, dude. It was a game that was really ahead of its time, and it was really like you had a squad of people and you were bouncing back and forth. The embassy had been, they were holding people hostage in there, and then you had to figure out a way to take care of it. But that game was pretty awesome too. But yeah, man, Ninja Gaiden tips the scales for me. Anything else stick out for you?
I was a big I was a big arcade kid too, so like Mortal Kombat was a
Yeah,
huge,
yeah.
Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter were huge games for me. There was a Jurassic Park Sega game that was
Ah,
hard, but it wasn't impossible. And I loved that game. I remember the day I beat that game too, and that was like one of those games back in the day too, where there's no save. You just
right,
had to
right.
play it. And the way you beat it at the end is weird too. It's like you don't beat it in the way you think. You don't fight. you just have to dodge like the last T-Rex, the Raptor attack before the T-Rex kind of like jumps in there.
Sure. Right, right.
That was a huge one for me. I spent a lot of time with that game. I got into Myst on the computer. There was a Doom, all those games, Duke Nukem,
Yeah,
Rise of the
dude.
Triad was one of those cheap like Walmart games. But that was great. Those kind of first person shooter games. When I hit games like finally hit like Silent Hill, you know,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what reopened kind of gaming for me. Because it
Awesome.
combined kind of all the elements, all of the things. But I was also a big Metal Gear Solid guy. That was yeah.
That's bro, it's my favorite. That's so that so again, this couple year stretch. So I even got away from video gaming in my teenage years just because I played all three sports. It was like I don't remember exactly why. I think I always had, a Sega or something kicking around, but I just like kind of lost touch with it a little bit. But when that PlayStation came out, I a buddy of mine had like two of them for some reason, and he sold me his PlayStation and had like three games, and one of the games was that Metal Gear Solid game. Now the one for NES, the game itself wasn't that fun, but it came with like a booklet that did something to me like card art. So it had pictures of the mech, all the pictures of the weapons and stuff you got, and it unlocked something in my mind like GI Joe, where I was like, "Yo, so you can have a one-man army like this that has access to all these different kinds of things. He's fighting a big mech, and so that laid the groundwork. And when I, dude, as a 21 or 22-year old or whatever I was, I used to bring my PlayStation with me places so I could play Metal Gear Solid. I was obsessed with that game. I absolutely love Solid Snake. There's a couple 112 scale figures of him that you can get. They're all just a little pricey, so I haven't pulled the trigger. But also crazy obsessed with Metal Gear Solid as well. We got a lot of overlap. That game is
Oh,
groundbreaking to me.
you got me thinking about oh man, this is my problem, right? Like they're a little pricey. I'm like, you got me thinking about like how can I, you know, work my way into obtaining one of the Solid
For
Snake figures.
sure,
That'd
for
be
sure.
great. Yeah.
Well, and what sucks too is that I think it was McFarlane that made the Metal Gear set. There was like 8 or 10 figures, and dude, they had the Vulcan Raven who had the big, huge canister and the minigun that he carried around. That dude, they had like all of them. And Solid Snake came with like the FAMAS, the that what I can't what was it, the Javelin or whatever that missile system was, where
Yep.
you would use it to get the sniper lady, I think it was. Yeah, man, that game was in fucking incredible. My buddy Pete and we would get together and just smoke a billion joints and just play that game, like as in our 20s. You know what I mean? Like even though I was still going out and doing things, partying at bars and whatever. I definitely like that. I was obsessed with that game. It's so awesome. But I wish that set, right, the 8 or 10 figure set, you can't find it anywhere. I found one guy on eBay had them all, and he was selling them all for like $800, and that was it. He was like, "I'm not selling them individually. It's buy all of these for $100 a rip." That's it. And yeah,
Yeah.
so
The problem, with those old stuff too, is you open it and you just can't, it's even if it had QC issues back in the day, it just exacerbates it sitting in there. They're so brittle when you
for
open them
sure.
up. That's what was so exciting about NECA stuff when they finally like really making Predator stuff. I mean, the Predator stuff still you got to be relatively careful with it, but I think they've done a pretty good job. Creating a mass-produced kind of high quality, well painted figure that you can pretty much well mess around with. Considering that the first waves were like, if you bent an arm, it
Right,
just snap off.
right.
Like, I mean, you could. It doesn't matter. People are like, oh, warm it up, do it wasn't like Mythic Legions, now where you can like you have to run them under hot water, but then they're fine. Every Predator figure I bought, the first ones just like snapped right away. So yeah, I can't spend like I'm not gonna buy an old, McFarlane figure and open it up
Yeah.
and have it like break in half in
It
my
was
hands. But I would love to get Solid Snake. I mean, he's a Joe, he's a GI Joe. He's a clear,
right.
these are he fits so cleanly in to those. I was in my 20s big into that was again kind of late college days stuff. So like that whole mythos, and for Joe's, for me, like that kind of got me to revisit like the Cobra Law stuff. And I was like, oh, starting to see some of the connections between, the combination or like the overlap of the cosmic horror element to that.
Right.
Yeah, which really brought me back to that. Initially, when I was younger, I wasn't, I liked the movie. I thought it was cool. I didn't have all of the movie figures, because again, back then it was like where, what was on the shelf when you were in the store, and
Right. There's no eBay.
I couldn't buy an entire wave, I just get one figure. So it was like,
Right.
you get one fig. But now, like looking back, like, there's a huge connection there for me. You'll notice in my kind of toy photography, I like to align, like, you think about a guy like Dr. Mindbender, like he's not okay. He's like, and I mean, like he's out of his mind. You know what I mean? You got to feel for the guy a little bit. Like he's
the highest order of crazy.
Yeah, he's totally, he's out of his mind. And he's like just look at, imagine, or like Crocmaster's another example. He's got a stitched, right, like mask. He's a door-to-door crocodile alarm system salesman. Like that was his story. I just like to think about, like, that guy's out there. That's scary. You know what I mean? Like, that's not just, the Joes aren't just like guys that are like, we're gonna, fight this like battle that, terms of war and everything else apply. Like, no, Cobra's got maniacs.
Legit crazy people. Legit crazy people.
Maniac. Like, think about that when you're looking at my photos. Like, I'm thinking about like Crystal Ball, and you can be like, oh, it's funny because I know his original figure too. It's like corny and like it wasn't that popular, but dude's scary, man. He's legit, like he's legit 100%. Like making, like doing blasphemous things. Like that's what, and Snake Eyes is cool. I mean, he's a really talented ninja. For goodness sakes, the hand that sees, he can't see anything, right? But he can fight. But I mean, you're up against unbelievable odds. I think that's the thing that compels me, the most with the stories and stuff like that. I think that's fun to think about. You get, do you have Frag Viper? Did you get Frag Viper yet?
Oh, I have
Frag Viper.
I have 7 of them. Yeah, I love that figure. It's amazing.
That's a great example where like I loved the original Frag Viper figure. I thought it was cool. They released the shots, and I'm like you too, actually. I think the renders are great. It's cool to see the renders. There have been a lot of figures I've been surprised by still, like where I get them in hand and I'm like, oh wow, this is way better than I thought like originally it was going to be. And the Frag Viper, you take off that helmet and he's just got dead eyes and like he's been like surgically altered.
Yes.
And you're like, that's just like next level kind of. That's the kind of stuff that this line makes me feel like they're like, I mean, no one's talking to me from Hasbro, but it makes me feel like the creative team is like, we know you. Like,
yes. Yes. I think there's a lot of that. I really feel like that's what makes this line very special. There's a lot of worry. The head designer just left the company. You know what I mean? A lot of different theories. I've spoken on a couple of different podcasts about, it's a hot topic. So, we're all going to throw our guesses in a ring about what happened. But the truth of the matter is we may never know. As long as Homeboy is doing good and he made the decision that's best for his family, good. I celebrate that and I hope he does well. But, one thing I want to throw out there is now, logically, you say, well, here's the driving force behind what we got. How could that possibly be good? And I say, well, because we don't know. Who knows? Maybe they wind up bringing in somebody like Lenny's not the god, right? Like there's other people who are great at designing it. Maybe you got to find that right bit of tongue and groove connection where you have passion meets skill and then it comes together. I think that's what made Lenny great. He obviously saw the vision in the things like what you're saying, little things like that, or that they gave us a couple different versions of the Alley Viper. I think that just things like that. Like they took a figure like Crystal Ball and made him an amazing figure. They took Tripwire, who was relatively plain as a 3 3/4 figure, and made him one of the best figures in the line. So I feel you there. But I choose to be hopeful and say, that's 50-50. There's just as good a chance as it being good, as it or good still, as it is to be not good. So, um, yeah,
I think
that's
it's
that's
up
what
to
I'm out there.
it's up to us. I think it's up to I think and what I mean by that is look, these are mass produced like toys. That
Right,
they're made to be, and and I know they get less and less, they can get less and less affordable every day, but I'm looking around the room I'm in right now, like surrounded by like all sorts of like, again, NECA, Transformers, Marvel Legends, Toxic Avengers, like all this stuff. Some of them are spot on, amazing. Some of them, have features that leave things to be desired. But for me, if I get to the point where I'm like, I bought this shit and it is ruining my day, I'm not going to do it anymore.
right,
And I
right,
think that one of the cool things and I don't think that this was just Lenny. Lenny's great. I think he did a great job. But I think the design team, like, clearly, think about the first wave of G.I. Joe Classified.
hmm
That was not that great. It was
yeah,
exciting to have G.I. Joe again. The Snake Eyes is awesome. It was
yeah, for
unparalleled.
sure. Yep.
But the other
OG Snake Eyes
characters
is great.
were like, where are you guys? Like, I don't know. I remember
Right,
being
right.
like, I want to like it so bad, but I think the Scarlet too was a great example of figure. I was like, I don't know if this is, you know, what direction this is going in. And they heard kind of constructive criticism. I think if everyone gets together and they're just like, everything is bad, it kind of sucks
Right.
the life out of a line,
Sure.
and doesn't get
Yep.
it to go in that direction. But Joe's a great example where I think people, there was, the people that are designing it, which are teams, they're
Mm,
teams of people,
right.
they listen, and they pulled off some awesome shit. And I said that in the beginning. Like, I've collected Marvel Legends since those Toy Biz days, and Marvel Legends was in trouble. I think it was struggling. They kind of fell into a groove, and it looked like they weren't getting funded. They were just a lot of reuse and kind of boring stuff. And now they're wild. Marvel Legends stuff is
Right.
still cool.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, and I mean, again, to each their own. I think people can kind of do what they want to do, but I think we're going to be okay. I think I think there's
Agreed.
enough. They look back at what we have. I have so little room for this loose stuff that I have,
Right.
which is
Right.
great.
Right.
I'm glad. I feel like it's a. I'm not complaining. I'm just like, I'm amazed. I can't believe I can take a shot of almost all the Dreadnoks, um, in such a short amount of time. That was one of the biggest Marvel Legends complaints that I heard in circles that I was in, that like they couldn't complete a freaking team, man. It'd take
Right.
10 years and still missing characters from a team, and like we got this team in short order, and the characters are bonkers. They're just so
Right.
cool.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So it looks like GI Dave agrees with us on the Frag Viper. My man has good case. That's not surprising. Our brother Tex Thompson had signed off. Have a good night, my brother. It looks like joining us is my dude Roadblock is here. Checkpoint Bravo and Call Sign Smash. Call Sign Smash says, I may enter another ninja phase. So yeah, there you go, brother. You gotta
Yeah.
get call to arms about us all going back to being ninjas. We'll do a podcast one day. We'll have like 10 people on, and we'll all dress up like ninjas and talk about how much we loved it for sure. It sounds awesome. So when exactly did you start taking pictures of toys? Like, I know if you've always kind of, with the exception of the college years, you've always kind of had your eye on the collectibles. When did you start taking them pictures?
Yeah. Seriously, I did. I mean, I had dabbled, in our younger days of like, snapping a pic of cool things our friends and I set up, that we wanted to like keep the memory of. But the first time I did it, I think was like a Darth Maul pick with a Darth Maul Black Series figure.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
of the door. Remember, they know the scene in episode one. It's the best part of episode one. The doors open and
Oh,
Duel
yep, yep.
the Fates kicks on. Maul's standing there. I took a shot of Maul, and it was like, I was like, okay, that got me going. And then I did a Hellraiser shot right after that, which I know it's a big leap from Star Wars to Hellraiser, but that's where we were. And it was kind of 2019 into 2020, so just about to hit the pandemic kind of thing.
Yep,
And
yep, yep.
yeah, that's kind of how it happened. I mean, there's no other explanation for it except for that, I told you, I took that picture of Snake Eyes and the GI Joe thing started to blow up, and I was like, it wasn't the well, to be honest, one, it feels good to have people be like, hey, I like what you're doing. I like
100%.
this.
We all love affirmation.
But I also I started hearing from people, like meeting people, just meeting people that were like interested in the same thing, in really constructive and positive ways. And that's when I think on Instagram it was GI Joe Union first, and then GI Joe Nation, and
Mm.
both the people that ran that reached out to me and just full positivity. Like, it just felt good to have, like, no controversy. Just we just talked about, like, toy taking. It was GI Joe Nation. It was, Pete, the guy who ran that, or who runs that, was like, I reached out to him, asked him about, how'd you get that shot, and he was like, I used a cardboard backdrop of like the outdoors. And I don't, like I told you, I don't know anything. I'm not a photographer. I don't know anything about like professional photography or anything like that. And so that was the first time that I started using things that you'll see in my like crystal ball shots, like those are inserts from other toys, just
Okay.
cardboard inserts. That is an insert from the Red Death figure, the figura obscura Four
Oh,
Horsemen
okay.
figure of the Red Death. And it's when I started to be like, because like I was just using I still do like to use kind of the all black, kind of low light background,
Right,
for,
right.
but that was the first time that I got like, somebody who was like, hey, try this out. And I
Right.
did, and it worked, and it was cool. And that's pandemic too, and everyone was at home
For
and
sure.
afraid and stuff. And it was just this hugely positive, like really cool. I don't know how to describe it. Just kind of like happened all of a sudden. I look back on it now and I'm still kind of amazed, because I'm like, you never know what's happening when it's happening, but it's been such a positive outlet for me, creativity, creatively, to do,
Definitely.
that I didn't know. I mean, I think if I had just thought like, I'm going to try figure photography, it wouldn't have happened that way.
Okay.
It just kind of like, I was just screwing around.
Right. Right.
And so people reach out to me now and are like, oh, I can't ever do, that kind of thing. And I always say the same thing. I'm like, yes, you can do it. Just do it.
So
Just do
I
it.
do. I say the same thing. Take two figures, put them on the table, take a picture, and you'll immediately be like, "This has to go here. I've got to turn this guy a little bit." And the next thing you know, within the first 90 seconds, you're now a toy photographer. It's that simple. And
You did it.
I try to remind everybody too that we're all novice. Now, you clearly have a natural talent for setting stuff up, the rotation of the camera. There is definitely maybe an inherent skill there, but it's almost, we're all just trying to figure it out and learn it, right? So, and the one of the best parts about the community, I think, is that nobody's really shitting on other people. Like, in our community, we don't allow that. You know what I mean? We'll just, if you're coming in and you're like, dude, that sucks, and that's how you talk to people, well, nobody wants to see that. You just get blocked, right? You can say it sucks into the oblivion. That's, it's just, we're all adults.
I've only,
that are,
I get trolled a lot, man. I mean, I
Really?
gotta just like, yeah, well, like, I mean, I get, I get direct. It's actually not a lot. Never not a lot in the comments, if ever. It's in the DM kind of,
Really?
it's amazing how people will be like, you know, say weird stuff. My favorite, I don't respond, but my advice,
Yes.
I'm like, I don't, you don't have to. I have, 1,000 people were fans. Like, we're connecting on a fan,
Right.
basis. And then beyond that, as a next level thing, it's people and, encouraging and showing love and support to other people,
Yeah.
which again feels good. I mean, it's real, it's actual, like, real live energy. There's only one person emailed me. I'm not even sure they were trying to troll me. I used a dog fashion disco song
Yep. Yep.
in a pic, and somebody like DM me like, "Oh, you think you're cool because you use DFD or something." And all I did was send back a dollar bill. I was like, "This is how cool I am," and I have a dollar bill signed by all of them because I've seen them like 15 times. The bassist actually bet me well, not bet me, but like said in 1998, it was like, he was like, "You're going to spend this at Taco Bell someday." And
Nice.
I was like, and I didn't, and I'm that cool, and that's the only one I've ever responded to. But like, yeah, I I don't, I don't suffer that kind of negativity. You
Yeah,
don't have to, you
right.
know.
Exactly.
It-
And
But
and
I
and
but I love that you don't like get a lot of it naturally either. Like, it's really is um it's an interesting phenomenon. I mean, I just think so many different people, like, really, really different. Like, we can have different views on a lot of different things, but kind of come together and are like, just full on positivity. I can't explain it, man. I know you're
yes.
saying like, oh, you have some talent or some natural talent, but I mean, people are like, are without solicitation, just total, like, really nice,
Yes. No,
which
well
I love.
that's
I think it's so
that
great.
yes. And I'm glad that that's the case. And also too, and I'm sure and understand this, but like the way that I look at it is especially because you're very popular across two different platforms, right? And there's no way, like Christ, if you go out to a bar and there's 25 people there, five of them are dickheads. So now when you multiply that exponentially by the amount of people, that you wind up seeing on social media, it's almost inevitable. And when you think about, somebody, a stranger coming in to say something negative to you about a photo of a toy that has nothing to do with that photo and all with what the fuck is going on in those people's heads, right? That's just a conflict driven person that has nothing else to do but besides distract himself from their own problems by acting that way towards somebody else. It's almost insanity to me, right? When you look at it that way, like it's a picture of a toy and you're reaching out to a stranger to say something negative. Now, I mean, I guess maybe it's just the natural balance of things because I definitely take the time to reach out to people. Like if I see like something cool and I go over to their like their profile page and they've got a bunch of good toy photography. I mean, even if it's regular, I mean, not to judge it, but like if you're spending that time to take all those pictures, I'll usually just follow and send a message, and just like I did to you, and reach out and say, bro, this shit is ridiculous. Plus, there was another aspect too of it that caught me is you have an incredible song selection. I'm going to say a positive about it now, and I think I may have asked you this in a DM, and I don't remember the actual answer. So you've got a lot of like Dillinger Escape Plan, and that's one of my all-time favorite bands. Like they are just totally kick ass. Are you a fan of the band?
Absolutely, yeah.
Hmm.
All the songs are songs that I actually, it's in the reverse. A lot of the toy photography happens because of music I'm listening to. That's
Oh,
that's
okay.
that's usually what happens. So usually, like I said, I heard an Elliott Smith song the other day, right? And it's like, I, you know, I can't always make a direct correlation. It doesn't have to be the subject material or the content of the song,
Sure,
that
sure, sure.
happens, but it's something that, like, inspires. I'm a huge Deftones fan. I'm actually a fan of, like,
Yes.
we could spend the next, days naming all the bands. I mean, I said I can't play music worth anything, but I have loved music since, for as long as I've loved movies, and it was the same thing.
Right.
Kind of, we'd go to the movies, and then I'd either get an action figure or I'd get a CD, you know,
Yep.
and I worked in a couple different record stores, for years and years. One of them, Soundgarden, was one where you could actually open the CDs and listen to them.
Okay.
They
Okay.
made
Yeah.
pre-wrap them, so like when you work there, you could listen. I mean, you that's all you did
Nice.
was open, listen to music, and I'm a huge Tom Waits fan too. That's another one that gets you, just the diversity of the type of music and the delivery across like his entire catalog. It's so prolific. Dillinger though, like man, there's a Dillinger Mike Patton.
Oh, the when sleep. What is it? Well, God, what's the name of that? When sleeping dogs are. Oh, I know what you're talking about. It's a
Yeah,
four
yeah, yeah.
song.
I think it opens with "Come to Daddy." That song,
Yes, the cover.
that
Yep.
is that was a perfect example of too of like a moment in my life where I was like, you know, again, this positive kind of people supporting people, interrelated kind of interests, different types of music. I actually found Mr. Bungle and like Mike Patton because I was listening to Dog Fashion Disco and it had that kind of metal, circusy kind of, you know, abstract, kind of thing. System of a Down too back then in the
Right.
day,
Oh,
back in the day.
Irony is the Dead Scene. That's the name of it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's and I've still got the compact disc, around, for all that stuff and huge Miss Machine for Dillinger for me was
Yes.
was a huge moment, and I still use that comes back in the songs. I still use a lot of it. A lot of it too is for dramatic effect. I try and think about like, the reels started actually because Instagram started doing like reels. That's how I started.
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean,
Right.
it's like
Right.
an easy way. I already have the shot set up. And so that was kind of a happy accident. It was just kind of like, okay, well, if they're only going to show my pictures in a video form, okay. I was like, I'm game. I'll just
Yeah.
take a
Yeah.
video of the picture. I used to do
Awesome.
an actual like coming soon graphic, like behind the scenes kind of thing
Okay.
first. And then, but then it kind of took on like a kind of theater, right? Like it has this kind of like, dramatic kind of feel where you can do a reveal sometimes, when you do the
Sure.
pan over or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
No, that sounds good. Like, nice. I love it. So,
You
I have to jump in and I know
know,
this
I
is
amuse
like,
myself. I mean, I get a kick out of it. I love it. Some of them.
yeah, no, sorry. So Miss Machine happened to be at an incredible point in my life. So I always liked Dillinger from Under the Running Board and Calculating Infinity, right? They have the song on Calculating Infinity, Destro's Secret, which is one
Yeah.
of my favorite. It's a minute and a half, just brutal. It's the craziest. It's one of the craziest songs. If you put headphones on and listen to that, you're like, yo, these dudes sat down and we're like, yo, we're just gonna melt everybody's fucking faces off with this. I mean, the whole album is really like that, but that song in particular is crazy. But anyway, when Miss Machine, it was a while because they had gotten a new singer, and when Miss Machine came out, I had just moved back to New York after a bad breakup. I was on the verge of getting married, and then I moved back to New York alone. And it was I lived a really fucking crazy next couple years through the lens of that album. Like that was the soundtrack to one of the craziest times of my life. And I traveled to see them play a bunch of times. They were, there was, you can go on YouTube and watch if anybody Dillinger Escape Plan live. And when you watch them live, it's gonna break your mind. You're gonna be like, first of all, how did they write this music? Period, right? And then how did they play this music live, acting like this? Because it's crazy. You've never seen anything like it. My favorite one might be there's one where they do a Destro Secret, and it's a Destro Secret live, and then there's the one that got pretty popular where they do Sugar Coated Sour live at the Virgin Megastore in Times Square, and you can tell that the
Yeah.
people that were packed against the stage were absolutely not there to see this. They were here. There was like a big name later, like Taylor Swift or something, and that's what they were there for. And these guys come out and Greg runs halfway across the crowd, like on their heads and shit. It was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. I've seen
So
that. That's what I was gonna
yeah,
say. That's the one where he runs. He actually runs. He walks on water across
it's
the crowd,
insane.
and it just starts, and you're just like, I mean, I remember. I mean, I'm in my 40s now. Like, I don't know, in a pit like that. I don't know. need another back surgery or something. But I think
Yeah, I don't know if I've got that in me. I used to do it all the time, and I remember. So let's see, it would be about almost 15 years ago now. So Albany has a big music scene, a lot of good bands from here, and so they're like four of the most popular. My all time favorite band is Overcast from Boston. You know, Brian Fair do with the Dreads from Shadows Fall. It's his original band. So they played a reunion show along with there was this band Section 8 from over here that
yeah.
yeah, so yeah, they broke up, hadn't played in a very long time, and they had a reunion show that was so popular it sold out. Northern Lights. They played a second night, right? Um, but anyway, they like when they played, that was probably one of the last times that I was out there doing any kind of in the mosh pit, and like even then, I remember being like, oh, like totally just like up as stiff as a board and not in good shape for a while. Actually, I tore my MCL at Dillinger Escape Plan at not the Starland Ballroom. There's a place in Long Island. I can't think of the name of it. It's this weird, crazy place. And I seen him there, and this big, heavy set guy. I was trying to climb over the top of him to grab the mic from Greg, and the dude fell back, and it hyperextended my right knee. I walked around for a long. I worked for myself. I didn't have insurance. I didn't know what to do, and I walked around with a tore MCL for like 17 years, and then I finally got it fixed. But yeah,
I remember I have so many stories like that. I saw Glassjaw once. It was in college, and I drove. Actually, a friend of mine had a band. He opened for Hoobastank, and then that weekend we saw Glassjaw, and I broke my glasses like in the pit, and it's like one of those when you're in high school and that happens. You know, you're like, oh, I'll get I'll explain it and I'll get new glasses. But I was in college. I was like, we got to go back in and find that lens. So we went back in
right.
after the show. They put the lights up, and we actually did find the lens in a like crack in the floor. It was crazy, and
No
put it back
shit.
in. But those were the days. I remember going home and being like, even in my 20s, I was like, ow, that it's starting to hurt a little bit more. Into my teenage years, it wasn't as bad,
Oh,
but
yes,
I just
yes,
think
for
I don't know.
sure.
I'm from Buffalo too. Every Time I Die is a big Buffalo,
Oh yeah,
you know,
yep, yep.
band. So all that stuff. But I get into. We actually just got my daughter's 14, my son is 18, and my wife just got us tickets to see Sublime in August.
Nice. Okay,
Which is cool. So we've just started like kind of picking up going to shows again.
that's what's up.
But
And
we're not in the pit.
no, no more penny. Actually, a bit of
We get the
coincidental
VIP
overlap.
seats now.
The very last time I saw Dillinger was at a town called Horseheads, which is out your way, I think, a little more. And it was Every Time I Die,
That's where my wife was from.
Dillinger, Kill Switch Engage, and somebody else that was popular, but the name escapes me. Yeah, I happened to be working in Horseheads. I had a contract where I was doing security cameras and all the Price Shoppers, the grocery store up our way, and
Yeah.
I was out there doing it, and I think this is just when we started getting internet on our phones, like literally 2008 or 9 or 10, somewhere there. And no, this is yeah. Anyways, I remember seeing it and being like, "Oh my god!" And I called the place; they had tickets, and I wound up taking the guy that I had working for me. He was like, "I don't want to go to see this shit." I was like, "I'll pay for your ticket." I felt bad. I just didn't want to leave him. He had his own hotel room. We were there all week, but anyway, yeah, just a more bit of an overlap. That's pretty cool. Well, I'm glad you.
My wife grew up in Bath, New York, which is like around kind of the Horseheads area. But
Yep, yep. A lot of country roads out that way, boy. Let me tell you. I mean, beautiful country though, like without a doubt. Do you
I
still
tell you, I
live
just
here in
read
New York?
a story. I'm in Rochester.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
So
so
you're right.
I'm like 2.5 hours from where you are. I mean, wherever
Oh,
you're in
nice. Oh, that's right. You
Illinois.
know what? You did tell me that, brother. I'm sorry. Yeah, our boy Orsizio, I think, is actually in Rochester as well. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, we've been trying to get a like a Northeast meetup, and yeah, we had a couple of us are going to this thing in New York City in a few weeks. It's gonna be pretty awesome. It looks like my brother Kalel 327 is here. Just another jerk. I see Mardog 232. Looks like he must be from up this way. He knows his bands. Do I remember Dying Breed? Yes, I listen. I know those guys personally. They're. I'm from Troy. Those guys are all from Troy. I know them dudes. Let's see. Edward Gary, what's up, my dude? Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. Oh, nice. A couple other people. Yeah, it's always sometimes right around 9:30. West Coast people kind of try to filter in a little bit. So yeah, dude, I love that choice of music. It's always very good. It was one because I remember I can't remember the exact video or the exact photo, but I remember thinking, I was like, holy shit, look at this. It's just one of the ones where you kind of pan over on something and you have this incredible scene. But then I hit the button and it was a Dillinger Escape Plan. Not many people like on the extreme side of some music, right? And so people normally, I'm just not used to seeing that in the wild by strangers. So I was just like, oh my God. So it really caught my attention and had me hooked over there. So a lot of your shots are so beautifully done outside. Is there anything particular that you use for lighting inside?
Yeah, I use actually, years ago, my wife bought me like I think they call them like a shadow box or something. It's just like a, you know, it's just like a, it's literally like a box, but it's a trying to Velcro travel box kind of thing with different backdrops, solid color backdrops. Came with two tripod lights.
Oh, okay.
Um, and originally it was just meant to, um, you know, the cell was like you could put your item in it and take a picture of it, and that's what it is. I use um if you want to get right down to it, I use Magic the Gathering actually inserts from they used to call them whatever their boxes are, the fat pack boxes,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
had
yeah.
cards
Yep.
in there. So I use those just to put the things up so they're not flat like on the ground,
Yep.
and
Yep.
the lighting comes up from the back, and that's how I do it. And I again, happy accident. I didn't read that anywhere, and something that just kind of happened, and I messed around with it, and then I noticed I use two orange um uh cloths I bought to
Oh,
give it
right.
that glow.
Yep. Yep. Oh, nice.
Um,
That's what's up.
and then I often manipulate it. I take all the pictures on an iPhone and I use one hand to just manipulate the light a little bit, and I just
Yes.
pay attention to how it hits the figures. I think the big, um, for action figure posing, I think the best thing you can do is just spend time with a figure itself. So when
Mm,
we're watching something or hanging out at night and waiting for my wife to come out and hang out, I just I got over one of the great things about this hobby, quite frankly, is I used to be afraid of breaking my figure. I was into collecting. So I was really
right.
concerned with
Right.
value and stuff. And that's cool. If you want value, you're probably not going to want to touch your toys, if if you want
Keep them
long-term
in,
value.
keep
So
them
I
in the
got
card.
over it through figure photography. I started to enjoy collecting figures again because I got into this kind of weird thing where I was like, I stopped opening them. I started being like
Mm,
concerned about, whether or not they would break. And then if they did break, it'd be like, oh, I got to find it again.
right.
Um,
Right. Right.
Figure photography got me into like, I bend those, I bend the shit, I just pose the shit out of them. And that's my, if you get a figure, you open a classified figure, the first thing I do is bend all the joints, just
Yes.
all the
Yes.
way, full range, full motion, just to get that kind of human kind of feel to it. And once you get them under the lights, then you start to get if you got them posed right, and they start to capture that light in that certain way, and you can kind of tell. You can just like that looks sick, or that's the idea I had. You can tell I already, I like to do a lot in the foreground, like with some in the background. I'm really interested in kind of those dramatic moments of like not during. I mentioned the Budo one where he's kind of taking out Slice, but most of the time I like to do the just before that happens.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh,
Right. Right. Right.
yeah, just
That's
the
what's up.
just the tense moment, like where the just before the thing that's going to happen or just after it's happened, um, is going to go down. So
For sure.
yeah, the indoor shots thing happened totally by accident. Just it's so
Right.
funny. I still use that same thing. I mean, I'll I should take I will. I'll take a video of it and put it up so people can see. Like, it's just, there's no big secret. If you go to the reels, you know, you can see kind of like, but I should take a picture of the room because I think people think that's funny, but it's not a studio. Just have
Right,
kids'
right,
toys everywhere. Just crap,
right.
you know. Uh,
That's
yeah.
funny. That's funny. My brother, just another jerk, says so much breaking. So just another jerk is a pose master. He does excellent work with posing the figures, but he takes those risks where, you know the old saying, one doesn't know how far you can go until you've gone too far. And so our dude has put that to the test. He buys a Kiko's by the case, so he can go crazy with them. He does a great job. Kalel327 says, "Why is that weird not opening them? I feel attacked." So our brother Cal has, I swear to God, it's like everything on card. He'll have like the other. So somebody put a picture of Shockwave, and he's like, "Bam! Here's version 1 and version 2 Shockwave on card." And then and then here's like 4 of them out of the package. Our dude has one of the craziest
Hey, buddy.
collections. It's so awesome.
Me too. I mean, for as much as I've got open, if I just,
That's awesome.
here, I'll just do this. Like, those are all carded.
Nice.
Like, everything
Bro.
in cards. Like, you know,
Wow.
I'm still a collector at heart. You know, I like to collect for the sake of collecting. I think there's a beauty in the packaging a lot of the times. I mean, I think when it's done well, it's done really, really well.
Right.
Like you said with G.I. Joe, like the card art in itself. I mean, again, here, let me grab this. Like, that's a free fall right, like in there.
Nice. Awesome.
You know, you can see this card art. That's insane, man. He's just like,
yeah, dude.
You know, they didn't just give you a picture of the guy standing there. I mean, he's like, there's guys in the background falling and everything else. So yeah, by no means do I think it was more my own struggle with, like, you know, I started so, you know, when I did open it and then I'd break it, then I felt like I ruined the value,
right.
You know,
right.
And then I'd be like, oh, so posing helped me find a good balance. But my favorite figs, like your Storm Shadow, I've got him carded too. You know, this guy, I wouldn't have done this, but he was so cool, like heavy duty. You know, the heavy duty
nice.
fig, classified
yep.
fig.
Yeah.
I obviously have him opened, but when I started messing around with him, I was like, this guy is so cool. It's a really cool figure. It's just a fun figure to pose and mess around with.
That weapon system is crazy. You know, I feel like the how good the actual figure is gets lost in the shuffle because you know that big weapon system is obviously distracting, but it is also like in a kind of a way when when you take that thing off, the figure itself is just absolutely amazing. You know what I mean? I love
what got me. I wasn't super interested like in the original figure. I took everything off of the figure, and the only picture I've really taken with him is not with his stuff on at all, but like, you know, I kept like one single cannon on him. He's got headphones, man. He's got
right.
You know what I mean? He's got like music headphones. I was like, this is cool as hell, you know. So I went back out and got another one just because I was like, well, if I break it, if not, I'll, you know, put it on ice and kind of keep it as a collectible, so I can display it. So yeah, more power to you. You know, if you don't open them, you know, I get that too. I do the same thing. I don't open everything.
I don't know what happened or where I started. Now, obviously, I do some troop building, but I also started like I got to a point where I was like, you know, most of the ones that came out in 2025, I got to the point where I was like, well, you know what, I kind of want, because it started out with some of the ones earlier in the year, like Dial Tone, Breaker, and Crystal Ball. They all had this slightly hard to get feel, right? Where people were, you know, always looking to get them. And every trade I was doing, like they were the most requested figures, like 100%. And so I was always picking them up and trading them and stuff like that. And then somewhere along the way, I was just kind of like, you know what, I want to play with this, but I also feel like I want one to be on the card. So there's certain figures that for whatever reason I just bought one that I'm putting to the side. Like I got like the Mastiff Icebreaker, the Mastiff Ice Diver, and then the Mastiff Ice Snake Eyes Polar Bear. I want to have an inbox display of those, right? Where they're just like all three of them are like right next to each other. Just I don't know. I have weird ideas. Like the card art on the retro cards. I have like a dozen maybe of those, like the iconic ones that I loved as a kid. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
keep those and hopefully I can put them up sometime. You know what I mean?
I don't think it's weird at all. I think it's perfectly normal. I
No,
definitely
for sure,
what's
for
weird is
sure. No, I
I
don't
actually never got a breaker or a dial tone because they never showed up around me. They just don't.
really.
Yeah, so I will. I mean, I'll get them eventually, one way or another, hell or high water.
Uh,
I'll
my
end up with
my brother, I have a dial tone here to send you. I have a couple of them, and if you don't have one, you know I know that you will put this thing to good use. So we will. You'll have to if you have an address or something you want to give me in the DMs. I will make sure that that makes its way out to you.
That's
I'm
awesome.
looking.
Yeah,
I'm
thanks.
looking at 100%, 100%. I always do like to send guests a gift, for taking the time to come on as it is anyway. But that one just per adoption because I think I have one open, one on the card, and then I think I have two others. And that, I like again when they were still kind of hard to find for certain people, I had gotten a few for other members of the community. Somebody was like, "Oh, I don't have one of these yet." So I bought like four of them or something. I don't know, whatever it was. And then I sent that one, and I assumed the rest were going to go and trade. But then all of a sudden, it became sort of available on Amazon for like a couple weeks, and I think some people might have got it. But no, I've got one for you, brother.
Oh, I
I will
appreciate it.
send that to you.
It's
Yeah,
funny, right?
absolutely.
How like they appear and then I don't know. My Walmart like carries them one day, and like right now they're in one of those phases where they don't carry. There's no Joe section. They just they just don't. Which I'm in Rochester, so like there's a million WalMarts, But I the one closest to my house just like nope, we're not going to carry him for like 6 months. It's like
Right, right. Yeah, dude, it's just distribution ridiculousness, right? Like
Yeah.
big, huge billion-dollar corporations that are not worried about us or whether we get our stuff. There was a horror story after horror story last year of Walmart or Target just randomly canceling orders, and then the person who had the order canceled will go on, say, a timeline and see like 100 people like, oh, dude, my Walmart has a dozen of these things, but yet the people that had them on pre-order they're getting canceled because they can't fulfill them because they botched how much stuff went to where. However it shakes out, I just know that thankfully only one time I got screwed, and I had already had the Beachhead Night Force Beachhead Quick Kick Night Force 2-pack. I had already gotten those, but then they popped up on sale like out of nowhere. People were still complaining that they never got their pre-order, and here they are putting it out there for like $35. And I remember going and saying, you know what, for that cost, I want another set of those. And so I ordered it. And then like 3 days later, they were like, oh, yeah, that order you put in the other day, never mind. We're not going to send that to you. And it's just like, what? Oh, holy hell.
Oh
So,
shit! I feel like it's my fault because I price matched that in a store in Genesee, and
nice, nice.
when it was $35 because I was like, well, I want it really bad, but I don't want
Right.
I mean, it's like I go from like I'm an adult child. I go from like birthday to birthday, so I have like birthday cash, and it's like, I was like, well, I can price match this at a good one. I bet they were probably like, oh, we don't have that item to pull to send to Albany.
Right, right.
Oh, yeah,
Uh, that's
yeah,
fun. I mean, dude, it's one of those things. It's a give and take. I bought up a bunch of those dial tones, and there was still people complaining going into. I think it was literally like they arrived, and then I think I sent one to the one guy that mentioned it, and then like a month, not even a month. It was like 2 or 3 weeks later, they showed up on Amazon for like $20, and then it was out. I remember Popco Frenzy put it out on the timeline, and I remember a bunch of members of the community that were looking for it got it. And yeah. And then I was sitting on a few of them, which I don't mind. I'd rather, have something like that happen. And now look, I have an opportunity to hand one out. But yeah, my brother. So we are hitting our time that we talked about here. So I'm gonna walk you out the door.
cool.
Dude, listen, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to come on. As I said in the beginning of the show, it really means a lot to me. I find your work incredibly inspiring. I feel like I feel like I get something that makes me a better photographer by simply looking at how you do yours, right? Like I don't necessarily have to try to do maybe a similar moving shot or anything, but when I see that and I look, I go, oh, okay, I can like, maybe use this different distance to create this look, right? It's you tell an amazing story with how it's not just the actual taking of the photograph, it's how you set everything up that gets it's a whole bunch of different things, and your great shots are the sum of all the individual pieces that, I feel like you're coming from a place of like, I love these figures and I just want to take pictures of them, right? You're not like hired by a company to do a job. You can tell that you're coming at it from an angle of pure passion, and I really think it shows in your pictures for sure. So,
Man,
what
I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. And actually, even just having me on to talk about it, if you can't tell, I just love it.
definitely
And this is why. I mean, this is exactly why I keep doing it, and I love to
yep,
do it. And I know I'll talk to you more. And you know, again,
definitely.
appreciate you, man. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And dude, because I'm gonna have somewhere down the line, I'd like to invite a couple different toy photographers on to so we can all get on in the same show. Maybe have like 3 or 4 people, and then I'll just we'll run down quick little things. By then, I should have the process where we can put up pictures of some stuff and just have like a jam session of a bunch of different people that are just Joe knowledgeable and I think that are great photographers. I think that would be awesome. So I will
I'm
let you
here.
know about that. Yep, for sure.
Sounds good. All
All
right,
right.
man.
Well, thank you again, my brother. You enjoy
Thanks so
your
much.
evening, and dude, just we'll talk in the DMs about where I can send that thing.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Very
I'll
good.
see you, man.
Talk later, brother.
See
Thank you.
everybody.
Nice. All right, Joel. So I am gonna just wrap for a couple minutes. I was on last night, and I do want to try to get to bed pretty early, but I just wanted to go on again real quick about what our brother Matt from Mo's Mind has going on. So this is I didn't have the shot yesterday, but I pulled it up. So we have it's Mags, Mo's Armament and Gear System. And so what we have right here is this awesome sling, right? So that's how it looks on the figure, but I'm going to pull this up. So here's what it looks like off the figure. I'm going to hold that up so you can see it's gorgeous. Those tri-glides are amazing. Everything is 3D printed. Show you there. There's that. Now, so this, if you're holding it like this and you see it, you could use it as a 2-point barrel stock. But then I was like, I wonder if you can just go bang and you loop one through like this, and now you have a 1 point. So I have to loosen these. Now these Matt actually made these longer. So if it looks kind of small, it's because it is a little bit. Now I did get this to work on the trench viper, but see what we got there? That's how that works, folks. And so you're able to adjust it to different figures. This is a game changer. 100%. 100 fucking %. This is game changing shit. I right now he's got them over there. I think you could get 3 of them for $20 plus shipping. And let me tell you, everybody needs it. If you're doing toy photography, you got to get yourself at least one set, right? So he's got the black one. This is the brown one. And then we got one more. This one I pulled apart because I was doing like a strength test, but so it looks a little different. But this is what the green looks like. It's amazing shit. And this is just the beginning of what Mags is going to be. I can't really tell you exactly what's coming down the line, but the stuff that he told me he's working on right now is crazy. It's absolutely crazy, and it's another step up to changing toy photography. So 100%, like we all know, Matt, the Atlas, all the great play sets like the Outpost and everything, just absolutely great. Can't literally, it's like you just can't. No more spearmint moss. Oh, floss. Is that what you're? That's so funny. The tri-glides are resin printed, right? Yes. Hold on. I feel like I missed a comment. But so yeah, what else is coming down the line for Mags is great. Again, he is the acronym king. The Oracle is like one of the best acronym sets I've ever heard in my life. So I love the way that this looks right here. I think it just lends itself to, I can now do stuff where this guy can be holding something else in his hand. Maybe he's throwing a grenade, just anything like that, right? Which is actually something I'm probably going to get him to do. So I don't know. I think it's fantastic that he's filling this void, and it's being done by, somebody who really cares about what's going on. This isn't just some crap that somebody's putting out there to sell. This is like legit stuff that I am crazy excited about. So yeah, a couple of people talking about we order soon. Riptide, are they stretchy? No, they're firm, right? But with the length, and then you get 3 tri-glides on there, that really allows you to adjust it in a way that you can get it to sit. So and also because you can cinch these, once you get it over, you stick the arm up and you get it over the figure, you just pull it tight and it pulls it right up. They're just amazing. He did it, Matt. You did a totally bang up job. But yeah, look at how awesome that is. Yeah, very, very cool. I love this one on the Trench Viper. The Trench Viper is one of the ones that I wanted it for the most. There's a couple other ones that I'm gonna kind of keep as a secret for when I get the photography done. So yeah, that's it. You can find, I have in the show notes is the link to Matt's Etsy where you can find the slings are already up. Please head over, use Destro Designs 10 to get yourself 10% off. I'm always talking about how much I love Matt and the stuff that he does, but this new step that he's taken with a whole new world of things that he's going to have. As far as, doesn't matter what budget that you got to have, he's got something for you. He says production version is a little longer than the one in hand, so that will hang a little better. Yes, so this one is up a little tight, but yes, he added and he did it in like 2 seconds too. It was amazing. When we were talking, going back and forth, and he sent me a picture. He has it on the we showed those pictures last night, but yeah, Call Sign Smash says those are so freaking cool, dude. They legitimately are. I absolutely love it. It's such a need. Like I can't believe that we didn't have them, but now that we do, I can't be happier for sure. So very, very cool. But again, don't front. Matt is still making all of this awesomeness, right? Like, I don't know. This is something that came in not that long ago, and I love it. A couple hoses in the back, bing, bang, boom. Absolutely love it. This can come off. You can put gridiron stuff on here. And remember, everything is compatible. So these right here, it can be merged onto the outpost. So that little end piece comes off. This end piece comes off. Actually, I would do it with this one. And I can attach these just like this. So I have a full play set. Plus I have the bar, which I have a couple different ways that I've been trying. I did it the other day. So I'm going to be making, putting all 3 of those pieces together and doing a photo shoot. So you can see how you put it. It can be just like one unified front. You could also take, a part of the bar and just add that to the, whatchamacallit. I can probably add 2 walls to the side. I didn't even think about that. Oh, that'll look awesome. All right, I'm not going to say that out loud because I'm going to save that for a picture. I think that's going to look awesome. So, I encourage you to go follow that link and to see what Matt has going on over there. Again, the Atlas, the coolest freaking thing. The outpost, the bar. If last night we were showing off a bunch of stuff over there where we were talking about the Skyhawk, the Raptor, like all of that stuff. Just there's. To me personally, like when you look at the there's no original designs for vehicles like that Matt's the best. He designs the best vehicles. That's just, to me, that's what it is. From the first time I saw the Outpost, it caught my eye and I went, what the fuck is that? And I saw the price and I was like, wait a minute, this kit for that, I get that? And so immediately I was on the horn, telling my dude that I was in love with his stuff and I really want to take some pictures. So thank you again, as always, Matt, for trusting me with your stuff. And I ask that y'all just go over, take a look. And again, these like the price, y'all got $20. Go get yourself 3. I keep holding up that one. There we go. So here is the brown one. I've got it looped together, but remember it comes off like this. So I know you all got 20, and you will get this, and then you will get a very good idea of how even the smallest of things, see, there it is right there. Even the smallest of things get the best attention and awesome detail on here. So hold on, what am I missing here? I'm looking forward to a prick viper, just an absolute asshole. That's funny. That's funny. I can pretty sure all vipers are pricks. I agree. So again, the link is in the show notes. Over to Matt's Etsy. Use Destro Designs 10 to get you 10% off. Head on over and check it out. There was a few things that I had got. Again, I showed off that wonderful snake eyes from GI Dave. I thought it was fantastic. Something else that I got to pick up of. I finally just got this. I didn't have it. I just got this in the mail the other day. Actually, I haven't been ordering really much of anything. I'm trying to finish up this remodel, but I saw this. If you remember, I got one of these, and the fucking foot was broke, and I went back to the Etsy listing, and I was like, oh, yeah, it says broken foot. I missed it. I was so excited. So I saw one of these. Again, Pop Cold Frenzy pickup for sure. I figured, we're gonna get a moccasin eventually, and I don't want to get stuck having to pay a bunch of money for this because the moccasin's not going to come with one of these. It's going to come with that female gunner, as that leak had said. And then also Pop Cold Frenzy. I think this went just below 20, and I was like, all right, fine. I don't know what it is about this that I wasn't bowled over by when I first started seeing pictures of it. So I was kind of like, I don't know. But then when I saw it went down to that price, and I was like, it is a must-have. And I was like, I might as well just scoop it up now. And now that I have it and I'm looking at it, I do think it's good. I'm considering to open this real quick. I don't think I'm going to take it out of or I'm going to take all the accessories out. But I just want to snag this up out of the box real quick, because I think through the window, it looks really good. Yeah, man, that's dope. He's got that. I mean, they use this bow and arrow for a lot, and that's fine because it's a nice design. But yeah, dude, this is it's got a, yep, that is absolutely fire, without question. That's a cool figure, even if it's not Storm Shadow. Wow, I can't believe I denied this figure's excellence. You know what? I'm just going to leave this out, and I'll get this together. Now, also real quick, I wanted to announce, I wanted to do this a little bit earlier, but the conversation just kept kind of going. So our brother, JAJ, has done an amazing thing and donated a few figures that I'm going to be giving away, and I'm just going to show them off real quick. So the contest will follow, but we've got now these have been opened and touched, but they're all back complete and in the box. This is a Crimson Viper, which is a great, I'm sorry, did I say Viper? Crimson Bat, which is an underrated figure. It's the bat design is awesome. That one looks great. This is a crazy cool figure. It's Night Force Big Ben. I think Conrad Hauser at one point said that it was like his favorite. He's got great primary, secondary. The sculpt is amazing. The deco is so good. I'm actually going to keep this one because I'm going to dye a bunch of this stuff. But if somebody doesn't have this and you really are like, shit, man, I don't have that and I really want it, I can't really get it, DM me and I'll just send it to you. I would like to use it for a dye thing. And then also, last but not least, Budo. Now, everybody knows how dope this is. So for sure, these three I'm going to do in some kind of a giveaway. They're all going to be available. And again, if nobody reaches out about the snake eyes, I'll probably try to dye it. But if you need a snake eyes, don't worry. I don't have to tell everybody it went to you. If you don't want to admit that, times are tight, that's fine. I'll send it to you in private for sure. So let me know about that. Pretty stoked. Also, I had gotten some new stuff from Sys 3D Arsenal. I'm going to talk about that real quick. So first of all, he's got this whole new line of laptops that just look absurdly awesome. So this is how a rough, rugged, in the field laptop would look, right? Like, oops, shit. Not like that. But look at how awesome that is. See, it's a nice little recess. You know, obviously the screen, it just looks like a field laptop would look. I feel like it's a secure case. Just the deco is great. It locks. So if you flip that up, it actually locks, which is just crazy for this size. Hinged, holds it hinged, stops at that proper angle, right? Holds itself open, perfect to scale, totally dope. So you know I got this one's got, I don't know where this dust came from on here, and I feel bad because his prints are so fucking clean, and it's just got this little shit in the corners. But anyway, I got it. Had to have the Hiss version. Everything that I buy, I have just as much black and red stuff as I do blue Cobra or GI Joe, if not more. And then you open it up, and here we go again. Another, you know, it's a unique screen. Perfect if you look. There's like another mini screen that rolls across the top there, just like another like touch screen or something. This is fucking awesome. I don't even care. Let's see here. Hold on. 33 bucks on BBTS. Gonna push that button soon. What's that, brother? The for that Storm Shadow? I feel like you can get that on eBay or something better. So like all, you know, Chris's stuff, the inserts. So this can come out. I could actually set this down and use it as a standalone with that little screen. But this, I'm gonna definitely keep it like this because it looks dope. Now, what my brother sent, that was unique to me, I believe. It might wind up on the website, but as far as I know, it's just mine. How fucking dope is that? Right? So now it is kind of written the lore where I have the Major Blood kit, the Major Blood case, and this. Destro is going to bring this shit to the Cobra Island Major Blood, right? And then he's going to say, "Hey, listen, I need you to lead the 788, put your gear on, and take this chemicals to Mindbender. See, that's that purple chemical. Only the 788 is getting trusted with the chemicals that are in here. It's got to be that. It's got to be them that bring it there." And so, again, if you haven't seen this yet, look how fucking awesome that is. And then when you pick this up, this is just so insane. It comes with 3 nice grenades, and his helmet is down there. So what I can do is here's the 788 Major Blood stuff. It's black and red. Destro is going to deliver it. I wish I had like 3 or 4 days to just set up and do this whole shoot straight to start to finish. I would do so many different shots and videos. It's going to be awesome. When I finally get it done, forget it. It's going to be amazing. So here we go. Actually, I came up with a different idea. I didn't. This case is going to be empty when he gets it, and they have to go get that shit from the Joes, and they're going to raid a Joe outpost, kill everybody, and take all the stuff. It's going to be dope. Because lest we forget, I know these are toys, and even in the cartoons, nobody gets hurt. But if this was like even remotely realistic, they would just all be killers. Snake Eyes would be the fucking the mass murder. You know what I mean? But anyways, this is Chris. Can't thank you enough, brother. I really love this little guy, actually, and Matt, I have to send. Matt is doing he's going to do a little 788 thing for me as soon as I can get done those specs. Matt, I started drawing something the other day, and then I lost a piece of paper, and I was like, fuck, I didn't have time to go back to it. So my dude's always taking care of me for sure. But this looks really dope. Really dope. Also got some more of the jerry cans. He makes a real sweet gas can for sure. And then because they're inexpensive, I got I got this fucking dust. I don't know what the hell, like something up there. These are these ammo cans. You know, they're great for background. You can also they also eat the figure can hold them. It looks perfect to just have like troops walking around with stuff. So I usually buy a couple at a time. Boom, perfect. I got a bunch of these. I actually got a black barrel last time too. I'm really, really going nuts on the 788 stuff there. So yeah, listen, Chris has an incredible amount of stuff. That's the latest one I got. The Major Blood is new. Is this the one? So yes, there you go. You've got bombs you can plant, landmines. There's 4 of these. There's 8 of these. There's 2 layers of 4 there. Very, very cool. Makes the toy photography absolutely outstanding. Again, something else, another Destro Designs exclusive. These right here, which are absolutely incredible. I love both of these very dearly. And where'd it go? let's see. I think I got these right here. The whole 788 team has their own. The infantryman, the trooper, the everybody. So we got this style grenade. We've got the M67 right there. So as you can see, the 788 is loaded up with stuff, and I love it that way. But yeah, so now that they've got their own nice little computer and a laptop, this is going to come empty. They got to get those contents, and yeah, I'm running out of space to put all this stuff. To be honest with you, also something new from Chris is the legacy crates, which differ slightly from the standard mission crate, which are iconic to his design. I think they're amazing. But this just has a kind of a different feel, right? Like imagine something that was just making its way through like a civilian shipping, system or something like that. And then you have this, this is more like a traditional crate, even though it's got the Cobra. So you know what I'm saying. For headcanon purposes, I love that is like that, like without a doubt. Put that back there. Also something else from my dude. How dope. The mechanic set. I got a blue one for the Cobras. But any kind of, we have vehicles, you gotta have one of these, right? You gotta have one of these hanging out. So when you're taking shots of your people working on your vehicles, like clutch and crankcase, that's what they're going to be using for sure. So you want to head over to sis3arsenal.com. You can use promo code Destro Designs. That'll get you 10% off. If you are on Etsy and you have Etsy Premium, you can get the free shipping. Same thing from that. If you got Etsy Premium, everything is shipping free from that. And so if you have the free Etsy, it wouldn't kill you to order Chris's stuff through the Etsy, so you can still get the free shipping for sure. Keep that in mind. But Destro Designs, that'll give you 10% off your purchase. Listen, if you happen to be watching still and you're unfamiliar with Sister Arsenal stuff, go over to the website. Please check it out. You're definitely going to find something that's in your wheelhouse, budget wise, but also that's going to tickle your fancy. Tons of awesome shit over there. So yeah. And with Matt and Chris, you're supporting excellent people, right? It's not just that they're good, the prints are great and top notch. You're supporting a good person. And speaking of which, I received this. I talked about it yesterday. My brother Chaz from GI Customs sent me this wonderful sign that goes perfectly in tandem with the Destro Designs from CG Horror, but this is top notch, and it's actually going to fit into a shoot that I was already doing for him, some Fort Mod stuff. Just putting a few things together, and then this is going to go right out in front. And it's not only will it serve as a nice little promo shot for him, it'll be like a perfect way for me to put up a shot in a new profile picture for Viper Den Studios. That's what this is going to be. So, which I've been in need for. So there, that is too. Excellent. So Chaz, my brother, thank you so much. It was very thoughtful of you. That just showed up one day. I was like, oh shit, that's nice. I love to receive stuff from my brothers. That is fantastic. He's got a ton of stuff too. GI Customs, you can find him on all the social medias. But he's got a great YouTube channel. You could go over and check that out too. Great guy, 100%. He came on my show. I did his show. We had a blast. Check out and see what he's got going on, especially for Fort Mod stuff. That's really what hit home. Just very not expensive things that will take your Fort Mods up and over. And it's just really awesome. Also, another member of the community, just to try and support. He's just got a few things on an Etsy, but he does a great job. So this is something that I couldn't really get anywhere else. So I grabbed a few. These are water cans, right? It's designed, the special top and everything. These are designed to carry water. And I felt like these would be cool maybe on the Vamp or, they got actually right here. This is where I thought it would look cool. So like over here, we've got all this stuff on here. But I was like, you know what else it needs? Like almost as much as anything. So this got that little gas can right there, right? But when you put one of these, I almost like this better. It's scaled a little better. Looks a little better, and that you can have the water, and then you take like this from Chris, you put it on the other side. That looks even more like a gas can, right? So very good. But Murphy's Innovative is the dude that sent that over. Very, very cool. He's the gentleman who sent me the missiles for the, where'd it go? Yep, I can't get that thing out, but this is the attachment for the snake armor missile system. Really steps up the game with the snake armor because it makes it more of an assault kind of thing. Also on that same one from GI Customs, I've got there's like a battle axe and like a Gatling gun that looks pretty cool. Something else sent over by Murphy's Innovative is this nice, wonderful coaster. This was he had made this for, it was going to be part of a Serpentor set. And if I remember him saying correctly, he didn't wind up completing the set and doing it for the guy. So this is like a one of one. This is the only one that he made. He sent to me. I think that's pretty awesome. So thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that, my brother. You can find him over on, oh my God, over on Etsy as well. That's Murphy's Innovative for sure. It's a sign for ants, right? Big, huge one. Kalal says that sign needs to be at least 3 times that size, right? Okay, now I get it. Very good. Very good. My brother Animus Levels in the house. What's up, my dude? Thank you for swinging through. Greatly appreciate it. Yeah, he says very dope accessories. Yeah, man, that shit is listen, all this stuff is amazing. My this week in Hearthstone, welcome in. Glad you stopped by. He said I bought that Budo loose today. Nice. So yeah, fellas. It was yeah. I'm looking at this now that I got it open. It's a pretty dope figure. I don't know if I want to take the accessories out, but you know what I do want to do is I want to open this copperhead. So I'm going to do that. And what time is it? What are we looking at? 10:30. All right. I got a little bit of time. Oh, that's right. I cut this earlier. I tried to open it earlier, but I got sidetracked as I do almost always. So let's see here. Now his accessories are, you know, they're good for, you know, what Copperhead is. You know, he's got what looks like this huge, you know, this is like the Joker from the Joker in the 1989 Batman movie kind of thing where he pulls it out to shoot Batman's plane down. He's got this nice big machete. Hold on, let me cut my man free. They got him strapped in here like a common criminal. What do we got? What do we got? So what does everybody else got going on this weekend? I am going to be busy trying to get a little toy photography done first thing tomorrow morning, as well as, well, no, that's kind of lame. See, I wish they had an actual piece sticking out of there or something, right? Because I think it's supposed to be, or is it this? Wait, does this go in here? Because he's got this little pew, which I'm actually not even going to show. Huh, well, that's strange. Where does all this, is that a water gun? Oh, dropped it. Where'd it go? All right, I'll find it later. Not really that worried about it, but as a figure, he's Copperhead. That's pretty dope. Not too bad. I mean, I know this is a pedestrian thing to be opening, right? Everybody, you know, probably has this at this point, but I just got it the other day. And I've had the Python Patrol one for a long time because it was cheap. It was like $17. Yeah, shipped. I think I wound up with a couple of them ultimately. Something that I'm already kind of like hating on is that his Python Patrol one has blood on it. No bullshit. It's actually much better. It also looks like they have his thing on backwards, which is weird. Because why would you grab it like that? Oh, anyways. Let's see, we'll slap that on there with the big one in the back. That looks pretty cool. I can dig it. I can dig it. Very nice. You know, the Python Patrol one is really dope. Not that I don't mind this, but it's just got a little more flavor to it. You know, because it's got just a little more pizzazz. Like he's got, well, first of all, he's got a shirt on, which you all know how I feel about that. But there we go. Yep, very cool. Yard load of butt work to do as well. Shaking down this new Grand Sport Copperhead Classified, took a cool figure and made him look like he runs. Listen, this is pretty dope. This is that, yeah. I have a buttload of yard work to do. Enjoying a kid-free weekend. And I feel like I missed something. This happens all the time. Complete carnage in the house. What's up, my dude? Love those accessories. Just got my rock claw. Oh, nice. Very good. Very good. I'm hearing good things about that. Everybody I know that's opened it likes it. Me personally, I like the troop builder mask. I think it looks pretty cool like that. I think they did. I think a lot of people got turned off by saying like, oh, you know, he's got a dinosaur, right? And and I think that made a lot of people wary about it, which sucks because there we go. I found that's the pew pew I dropped. Let me shove that down in there. We'll get him complete. Nice. Well, all of like the accessories he comes with looks like they all come off pretty easy. Yeah, this I'm actually having a hard time. I'm gonna have to put a little tack on that one. And then this one here, I'm trying to get this one to close. If I can get this one to close, I think it's gonna look pretty good. Oh man, yeah, I can't get that to close. I don't think I'm lining it up right or something. Well, anywho's, there's that. Love it. It's gonna be good because eventually I'm gonna start standing these figures up. I might not. Once I get a couple shelves going, even though I may not be able to put like all their weapons on them. Now this guy's a little different, right? I can put them swords in there, and just because if I have like a whatchamacallit fall, the last thing I want is a shelf knockover or something, or not the shelf, a domino effect. I just don't want to have to worry about picking up accessories from all over the place. But there we go. So far we've opened some icons, right? What else? What was the other one I got? Oh, the Red Ninja. I'm just gonna pop this open real quick. Take a quick look. You all got the Red Ninja? I wasn't gonna get it, and then I just kept looking at it. It's one of the first ones, and I kind of like having the first couple of the first 10 at least. To say I like have it. I took a look. I think there's like 30 that I don't have or something like that. Yeah, see, right off the bat, that's a cool ass figure. Look at dude. Look at that. How awesome is that? It's nice. Red looks like it should be a dreadnought head. Copperhead has always been a secondary dreadnought for me. Yes, he definitely seems to be adjacent for sure. Nice. Storm Shadow 2 was his first classified. That is just another jerk. Awesome. Pop Cole says the Red Ninja is dope. He is for sure. Yeah, complete Carnage House. Thanks for joining us. Brother, I don't know if I asked you to come on the show. I've got a heater of great toy photographers coming on, and I would love it if you join. Forgive me if I asked already, and I think we started talking about it. But yeah, I've got the best of the best coming, and that would include you too. I think Yojo Collectibles is insane. Sneaky Figures next week, and then a Mate Mylar, the Action Shot God, is coming in. Just after that on the 17th. That's going to be a Sunday show. I haven't decided if I'm going to try to go at 7 on that Sunday because I just feel like, I feel like it would be better. I don't want people to have to stay up late on a Sunday. So I haven't opened it yet either. So it comes with, it looks like a bunch of really cool accessories. Looking at this, what is this? Oh, this looks like something that goes on the back to hold. I mean, it comes with so much stuff. I mean, it's just insane. This thing, like, look at that. That thing is crazy. I love them long ones that they give. So, I mean, the Red Ninja's got. I mean, dude, he's legitimate. Oh, he's got a place for everything. Hold up. This shit's coming out. So it looks like right on his back over here, he's got a place for these size, which if that's what this is, and I believe that it is, that's awesome. Is that what they do? Hold up. Yep, I love how all his gear stores chromes all his plates. Right, that's G.I. Dave. Me too. I'm loving this too. I hold the alternate head from Night Creeper. Looks good on Red Ninja. Ooh, Okay, I'm gonna keep that. I'm gonna keep that in mind. Riptide O'Leary says, "You got mate." Oh shit, yes sir, yes sir. Mate Mylar, Action Shot God, coming in. Coming in on the 17th of this month. Very very excited. So let's see here. All right, now these two must go. Hold up, I got. What am I missing? So he's got these two pumpkin things, right? And then, so what? Something gonna make the cut here. I don't think. What? 1, 2. Is that for this big, huge fucking thing like this? Okay, yeah, I can dig that right there. And then we're gonna go like this. I don't know if I. So, okay, there's 1, 2 of these swords. So this has got to be right. Oh, that's that long one. Here's the shorter one. Yeah, I don't know what the hell is supposed to go in here. I don't know. Is it shelf? Huh. All right. Well, anywho, he's got a lot of crap. I'm gonna put this big long thing in his hand, and then I'm gonna put this other sword right here like this, and then I'm gonna put these two mamma jammas like this, and I don't know what to do with these axe. Is there a spot for the axe, G.I. Dave? That's right. I'm not worried about those anyway. Homeboy's gonna have this, like this, and something like that. So yeah, that does look pretty dope. I have to admit. I can't tell though if the size are supposed to be back here or what's going on with that. Let me try this real quick. So if I take these, do these fit in here? That's a tight fit, but they look like he moves a little bit better like this. So I'm gonna put the little mini scythe. I don't know what you would actually. I'm sure there's an actual name for it, but I'm gonna put that like this, and then I'm gonna take this, go up here with this one. We'll leave that there, and then let's see. I'll put this one back here too, just because, and then slide one of these right here. God, I don't know why they make it so confusing. Just tell me where to put the fucking thing. Maybe we leave. God, these are both huge. I mean, that is the beauty of the toy line, is that you can put, whatever you want, wherever you want. All right, so those definitely clearly don't go in there. These must go up here, if I'm correct. You guys are probably dropping in the chat exactly what to do with it. Let's see. Okay, so these fit right here. So I'm going to put the mini size in the backpack, and then the middle one is ultra skinny. So this has got to be for the sword. And that one fits perfect. That actually looks pretty cool too. So boom, there's this. And then I can put this one in here. And then put, all right, so the size are going to go back there. And then I just put the axes in his hand. And homeboy is not fucking around. He's got shit for what application do you need? How you want it, dog? Surgical with this bitch. So there we go. And then, I'll put this one here. And then, okay, now his final form is here. So homeboy, dual axe, sword, mini size. That is so wild. Oh man. That is freaking cool. I love it. What do we got here? Pop Cold Frenzy says, Orxizio, I'm here and you're welcome. Glad you got something. Oh, nice. Very good. Using them links. I'm a ninja when my wife is sleeping, that's for sure. Nice. One stashes in his notch. I know, that's what it looks like. Most of us are from the 80s. And technically, we are ninjas, so very cool. I couldn't agree more. So anyway, this is a slept on figure. Also makes me wonder more about blue ninjas. Now, I just always thought that they looked, like a money grab, and I still think I'm correct on that. But this is dope, dude. That's a cool action figure, and that's one of the ones I would just leave all the weapons on them because they store. Um, and it definitely looks like I could take these and put them back here and put the size in his hand, which I kind of almost want to do, but this just looks too good. These two little axes. So yeah, I'm happy. I don't like the blue ninjas. They feel cheap. Yeah, that's probably Blue Ninja is a Kiko, right? A Kiko and this dude, I think, for sure. That's what's up. Blazer Laser Taser, that's my dude. They are, but you get male and female blue ninjas, $35 sometimes. Oh yeah, that's not too bad. $35 sounds like a deal. Two classified figures for that price. You can't go wrong. So two ninjas. Let me just stand this one up here. I'll have to put their accessories and stuff in a bag later. But while I'm at it, let me just oh yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna take his swords out real quick. But the version 2 Storm Shadow is definitely iconic with the bow and arrow, right? Like the card art has him in that incredible pose, and it just looks fantastic. So here we go. Hold on, let me get these swords out. So yeah, put these in here real quick. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. That's definitely a cool figure. All right, fine. I'll take the bow and arrow out, just so I can put it in his hands. Now I always forget how to hold this fucker. Oh man, they got it bowed a little bit. No pun intended. All right. Sorry, I can't do this on camera. I could barely get it done. This hand is very stiff, and I don't have anything to warm it with, so I'm just gonna wait. Wow, that thumb is like ultra tucked in there. That's gonna be a little bit difficult to pry out, so I can get it. So I'm actually gonna use the old scissor spreader technique. So yeah, I put the scissor in, and then open the scissor and look at it. Now, I have broken hands like that before too, so user beware. Not to be confused with Coco beware. Like yeah, let's see here. There we go. All right, boom, boom, done fucking deal, man. Oh, that arm don't want to bend. There's our dude. Now, I haven't had much luck with posing these bow and arrow figures. I tried doing Tiger Force Outback. So I bought a secondary set of Naugahide's bow and arrow because he's got the green bow and arrow set, and I bought that for Tiger Force Outback because I thought it would be something like that would work with him. But here we go. Now we're talking. There it is. Icon. Heat, straighten, freezer. Yeah, that's it. Dummy weapons? No, not really. It's all right. The bow and arrow is, it looks really cool. I don't know about gummy, but I wouldn't call it like super stiff either. I usually just bend it. Not really long lasting enough to make it worth it. Yeah, for sure. I can use my mouth too with a little bit of heat in there, kind of loosens it just a teeny tiny bit, and that works enough for me. But there it is, y'all. So we got busy in Viper Den Studios this weekend. I'm very happy. I want to thank you all for showing up. For both of my guests. Big shout out to Laser Pants for coming through yesterday. He was a great show. I was on with him, and Destro is my spirit animal. We had a good time, and I'm incredibly thankful to him for coming through. Also, Yojo Collectibles was awesome. Perfect Joe chat. I can definitely see him coming on again. Hell, I would love Laser Pants has an open door. You can come on whenever he wants. Destro is right. Just had to remind the missus. Yeah, that's right. Usually don't bend it just really long. Yeah, right. So yeah, great shows. Yojo Collectibles, it was very nice of him to come on. I thought it was fantastic. And it really, a lot of insight into how the man gets to all those amazing shots. Like if you're following him over on Instagram or Facebook, you know he's very, very good. So absolutely love it. Last night, one of the guys in the chat, Toy Games from Instagram, great guy. He was on Figure Fight Club, and he was great over there. He's going to come on the show, from what I understand, somewhere in June. I don't think we nailed down a date, but we were tentatively working on June. But the next couple shows next week is going to be Sneaky Figures, a lot more toy talk about toy photography, GI Joes and stuff like that. And then the week after is going to, like I said, Action Shot God, Nate Mylar is coming in. Very excited for that. So once again, thank you to Yojo Collectibles for coming in tonight. Thank you to Laser Pants for coming in yesterday. But most of all, thank you to everybody that was here last night, tonight. Last night we had the most live viewers. We had over 51 people. I think it went up to 51. I think that was the highest number that I saw. Why it goes on, and that's a lot. I don't think we've really ever had over 30 something, something like that. But yeah, for sure, it was it was dope. It was a really good time. And without the viewers, the show is I don't know what I would do. Like, God bless, YouTubers who make show after show with no people, watching it, or people that watch in the replay, which I guess a viewer is a viewer nonetheless. But I appreciate you guys for coming through. Also, don't forget, go see Mo's Mind, Matt from Mo's Mind over on Etsy. Link is in the show notes. Use Destro Designs 10 to get 10% off. Homeboy's got the slings. They're no joke. You want a set. $20 get you 3 for sure. Then head on over to sis3darsenal.com. Use Destro Designs to get 10% off over there as well. You can also order his stuff from Etsy too and take advantage of the free shipping if you got the Etsy Premium. That's what's up. GI Customs. You can go to gicustoms.com, or you can just find him on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, and that links to all his stuff too. Very good stuff from all the guys. And again, Murphy's Innovative got some cool stuff over there too, and that's what's up. So thank you all again. Oh, Stu for lunch. He says, "Good stuff, Viper Den. Have a great night. It's movie time. Talk for myself. Peace out." That's right. Yeah. So I will see you over there in a few. I think Laser Pants is coming in with you guys tonight. So I'm going to pop my head in to give my 2 cents before I pass the fuck out. Cal, thank you for coming, brother. Greatly appreciate it. And to everybody else, have a good night. And I will see you in those social media streets tomorrow in the morning. From Viper Den Studios, Destro Design is logging off. Later, y'all.